Chosen one, do not scroll. Do not look away from this, because what is being placed in front of you right now was not supposed to reach you. This word has been blocked 3 separate times before it found your hands. Not by chance. Not by a slow connection or a tired thumb that almost kept scrolling. Something older than your circumstances has been working to keep this from you, and something far greater has been fighting to break it through. And it broke through anyway. Which means you need to hear it. You are standing at the edge of something, one day. That is all that separates you from 2 very different futures. On one side, the breakthrough you have been quietly begging heaven for in the dark when no one was watching. On the other, a quiet collapse that has been prepared for you with terrible patience, and the line between those 2 outcomes runs straight through this Sunday. Maybe the night is still wrapped around you and this Sunday has not yet come. Maybe the sun has already risen over this day and you can feel it pressing against your chest before you even got out of bed. It does not matter which one is true for you in this moment. The test does not begin at 1 minute on 1 clock. It moves through every hour of this day, from the last light of the evening before it, through the long, quiet middle, all the way until the day finally closes. And wherever you are standing inside that window right now, you are exactly where you were meant to be when these words found you. So let me tell you what is happening, because no one else will. God just spoke 3 words over your life in this hour. Not a suggestion, not gentle advice you can take or leave. A command. And the 3 words were these: put it down. Kupra. And he did not say it the way you are bracing yourself to hear it. You have spent so long expecting the voice of heaven to sound like disappointment that you flinch before it even speaks. But this was not anger pointed at you. This was fury pointed at what has been done to you. This was not heaven shaking its head at how far behind you are. This was heaven grieving over everything that has been quietly stolen from you while you blamed yourself for the theft. Hear me carefully. The exhaustion you carry into this Sunday is not a character flaw. The fog that has settled over your mind is not laziness. The way you keep reaching for the right word and watching it slip away, the way the right answer arrives an hour after the conversation is already over, the way you used to feel sharp and alive and now feel like you are moving through deep water. None of that is who you are. All of it is what was taken, and the enemy of your life has been counting on you never figuring that out. Listen to what has actually been happening, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Every prayer you whispered and then doubted, every time you almost stepped forward and then talked yourself out of it, every quiet Sunday you sat in the back, feeling like a stranger to the very calling that was written over your life before you were born. None of those moments were random. They were watched, they were noted, they were filed away by something that has been building a map of exactly when you are weakest, exactly when your faith dips, exactly when you are most likely to give up and call it realism. And according to that map, this Sunday was marked. This was supposed to be the day you finally agreed with the lie, the day you looked at your life and said the words the enemy has been waiting years to hear you say. The words, "See, I knew it would not work for someone like me." This Sunday was scheduled to be the test you fail, the quiet defeat dressed up as acceptance, the moment you finally lay down the calling and walk away from it, telling yourself you are just being mature. But the schedule has been broken because this message reached you, and that changes everything about how this day is going to go. The test is still coming. I will not lie to you and tell you the danger is not real. It is real, and it is closer than you think. But you are no longer walking into it blind, alone, and unwarned. You are walking into it seen. And before this is over, You are going to understand exactly what the test is, exactly why you have failed it so many times before without even knowing it had a name, and exactly what it takes to pass it this time. So stay with me. Breathe once, slowly, and let the noise of everything else fall away for a little while, because the next thing I have to show you is the part that matters most, and almost no one is willing to say it out loud. The danger of this Sunday does not look like danger. That is the first thing you have to understand, and it is the thing that has fooled you every single time. You have been bracing for a storm. You keep waiting for the obvious attack, the dramatic loss, the phone call that breaks your heart, the door that slams in your face. So you stand guard back, quiet as a whisper, wearing the most ordinary face you can imagine. Let me show you what it actually looks like, because it has 3 faces, and you have probably met all 3. The first face is the one you can see in how you behave. Watch yourself this Sunday and you will catch it. It is the extra hour in bed that you tell yourself you have earned, that somehow turns into half the day gone. It is the plan you made, the good plan, the one that could actually move your life forward, sitting untouched while you scroll through other people living theirs. It is the conversation you meant to have, the prayer you meant to pray, the step you meant to take, all of it postponed to a tomorrow that you secretly suspect will never come. You are not lazy. I need you to stop believing that about yourself. What looks like laziness from the outside is a mind running at a fraction of its power, trying to climb a hill with one leg. Of course you are tired. Of course the simplest things feel heavy. You have been told to build a kingdom with a borrowed and broken set of tools, and then blamed for building slowly. The second face is the one no one else gets to see. It is emotional, and it lives underneath everything. It is the feeling that life is happening to you instead of through you, that you are a passenger in your own story, watching it unfold from the back seat, reacting to whatever comes, never quite the one with hands on the wheel. A woman I heard about once described it perfectly. She said, before everything changed for her, that her whole life felt like weather. Things just happened, and she stood in them and got soaked, and there was nothing she could do but wait for them to pass. You know that feeling. The boss who decides your worth, the bill that decides your month, the mood of someone else that decides your whole day. And somewhere underneath it all, a quiet, exhausting suspicion that the universe simply does not have your back. That heaven, if it is paying attention at all, has somehow overlooked you. That suspicion is the second face of the test. And it is a lie, but it is a lie that has worn a groove into your thinking so deep that it feels like truth. The third face is the deepest one, and it is spiritual. It is the one that makes this Sunday genuinely dangerous, far more dangerous than a hard week or a bad season. It is the slow, quiet erosion of your belief that you were chosen for anything at all. It does not announce itself. It does not come as a dramatic crisis of faith where you shake your fist at the sky. It is far quieter and far more effective than that. It comes as a slow settling, a gradual lowering of what you expect from your own life. You used to dream in color. You used to believe that the ache you felt for something more was a calling and not a cruelty. And little by little, without any single moment you could point to, you traded that belief for something the world calls being realistic. You stopped asking for the mountain. You started being grateful just to survive the valley. And here is the trap, inside the trap. You called that growth. You called it maturity. You told yourself you were finally being responsible by wanting less. But heaven did not call it that. Heaven watched a chosen one slowly agree to live like an ordinary one, and heaven grieved. That is the third face of the test, the acceptance of a smaller life. And this Sunday, the pressure to sign that agreement for good will be stronger than it has been in a long time. If even one of those 3 faces just felt like I was reading your mail, then do this for me before we go any further. Type the word "seen" in the comments. Just that one word. Not for me, for you. Because something in you needs to mark this exact moment. The moment the thing you have carried alone finally got named out loud. Type it and then come right back. Because we are only at the beginning of what you need to know. Let me paint this even more precisely, because vague comfort helps no one, and you have had enough of that. Picture the way this Sunday usually goes. You wake with a flicker of intention. Today I will pray like I mean it. Today I will start the thing. Today I will be the person I keep promising to become. And for about an hour, the flicker holds. Then the fog rolls in. The phone lights up. The old heaviness settles back onto your shoulders like a coat you forgot you were wearing. And by the time the afternoon light starts to slant and go golden, that flicker of intention has gone out, and a familiar voice whispers the verdict. Maybe next week. Maybe you are just not built for more. Maybe this is simply who you are now. That voice is the test speaking, and every Sunday you agree with it, you fail. Not because you are weak, because you have been fighting the wrong enemy with the wrong weapons, and no one ever told you. Now understand something that should make you angry in the most holy way. This was not always you. There was a version of you, and it was not a fantasy, it was real, who did not move through life in this fog. A version who learned quickly, who saw connections others missed, who burned with a kind of effortless creativity and curiosity. A version who believed, without even having to try to believe, that good things were coming. You think that version is gone. You think it was childhood and childhood ended, and this dimmer, heavier, slower self is just what adulthood does to a person. But what if I told you that the brightness did not fade because of age? What if I told you it was suppressed, dimmed on purpose, at a level deeper than your habits, deeper than your willpower, by a way of living that was designed, whether anyone meant it or not, to keep that light low? Hold that question. Do not let it go, because here is what most people never find out. There is actually a way to bring that brightness back, not through more discipline, not through trying harder on a mind that is already exhausted, something else. A small group of researchers, led by a doctor in New York who has spent 2 decades studying exactly this, found something so simple it almost sounds suspicious. I am going to show you what they discovered later, when you are ready for it. But for right now, just hold the question close. What if the reason your mind feels dim and your life feels heavy is not age and not a lack of trying? What if something was taken from you? And what if it can be given back? Sit with that, because it changes the whole nature of this Sunday. If the dimming was your fault, then this day is a test of your discipline, and you have already failed it 100 times. But if the dimming was done to you, if it was taken, then this day is not a test of how hard you can grind. It is a test of whether you will finally stop accepting the theft as your identity and reach for what is yours to reclaim. Those are 2 completely different Sundays, and which one you are walking through depends entirely on what you understand by the time the day is done. So let me make sure you understand it fully. Let me take you underneath the 3 faces, beneath the behavior and the emotion and the slow surrender, all the way down to the root. Because if you only treat the faces, the test wins. It always grows back. But if you reach the root, this Sunday becomes the day everything begins to turn. Here is the truth almost no one tells you, because it is easier to sell you guilt than it is to tell you what is real. The root of the test is not in your willpower. It is not in your faith level. It is not even, at the deepest layer, in your circumstances. The root is in a connection that was severed, a line that was meant to be open inside you, and somewhere along the way got dimmed down to almost nothing. Think of it like this. You were not born broken. You were born whole, born bright, born with the full thing switched on. When you were very young, before the world got its hands on you, your mind was a different kind of instrument entirely. It learned a language just by being near it. It made connections no one taught it to make. It believed impossible things were possible and did not even consider that they might not be. That was not innocence. That was your original wiring, running at full power, both sides lit up and working together the way they were designed to. And then living happened. Not a single villain, not one dramatic wound, though you may have those too. Just the slow, grinding machinery of a way of life that pulls a mind apart from itself, one distraction at a time, one anxiety at a time, 1 year at a time. The two halves of the brightness, which were meant to work as one, drifted apart, and the further they drifted, the dimmer the light, until the day came when you looked up and the world felt flat and far away and harder than it used to be, and you assumed that was just what being a grown person felt like. It is not. It is what disconnection feels like, and almost everyone is living inside it, which is exactly why almost everyone treats it as normal. Now hear why this matters for the danger of this Sunday. When your light is dimmed and your two halves are pulled apart, you do not just think more slowly, you believe more poorly. You pray with half a heart, because half a heart is all the power you can summon. You reach for the calling, and you cannot feel its weight anymore, so you assume it must have left. You stand at the threshold of your own future, and you cannot see across it, so you decide there is nothing on the other side worth crossing for. The dimming does not only steal your sharpness, it steals your hope. And a chosen one without hope is a chosen one who will lie down and call it peace. That is the mechanism of the test. The enemy does not need to defeat you in open battle. He only needs to keep the light low, keep the halves apart, keep you tired enough and foggy enough that when the moment of decision comes this Sunday, you simply do not have the power to choose the harder, truer thing. He wins by depletion, not by force. He wins by making sure that when heaven calls your name, you are too dim to hear it clearly. And I want you to feel the weight of that, because it should set something on fire in you. The thing standing between you and your calling is not a lack of worthiness. You are worthy. You have always been worthy. The thing standing between you and your calling is a stolen capacity, a power that was yours from birth, dimmed down by a world that profits from your distraction, until you forgot you ever had it. In this moment I hear the Father saying something over you, and I am going to give it to you exactly as it lands on my heart. He says, I did not make you dim. The world dimmed you, and you believed the world. I am not asking you to become something you are not. I am calling you back to something you already were. Let that settle, because it reframes your entire life. You are not a failure climbing toward a success you have never had. You are a bright thing that was turned down, being called back up to full. The work of this Sunday is not to become someone new. It is to reclaim someone you already were before the theft. This is why discipline alone never fixes it. You cannot out-discipline a dimmed mind any more than you can outshout a whisper with a closed throat. You have tried. Be honest with yourself. You have made the resolutions, downloaded the apps, written the goals on the mirror, prayed the prayers through gritted teeth, and for a few days it holds. And then the fog rolls back in and takes it all, and you add one more failure to the pile, and one more reason to believe the lie that you are simply not built for more. It was never a discipline problem, it was a power problem. You were trying to run a great calling on a dimmed light. And no amount of trying harder fixes a light that has been turned down at the source. So the question that decides this Sunday is not, will I try harder this time? You have tried hard enough for 3 lifetimes. The question is, will I finally go to the source? Will I stop treating the symptoms and reach for the switch that turns the light back up? Because that switch is real. It is more real than you have let yourself hope. And before this message is over, you are going to know exactly where it is and exactly how to reach it. But first, you have to let go of something, and this is the hardest part. You have to let go of the story that the dimness is you. As long as you believe the fog is your identity, you will defend it. You will plan around it. You will build a small life that fits inside it. The moment you understand that the fog is a thief and not a self, everything changes. You stop negotiating with it. You start evicting it. I want you to picture something. Picture the weight you have been carrying as an actual weight. A heavy grey coat soaked through with water, draped over your shoulders, that you have worn so long you forgot it was not your skin. Every step you take with that weight. Every prayer you pray bent under it. And you have assumed for years that the heaviness was simply the cost of being you. It is not your skin, it is a coat. And it can come off. That is the whole secret of the test, hidden in plain sight. This Sunday is not asking you to carry the weight better. It is asking you to recognize that it was never yours to carry and to finally set it down. The danger is that you will do what you have always done. You will grip it tighter, grit your teeth, and try to be strong under a burden God never assigned you. The breakthrough is that you will, perhaps for the first time in your adult life, let it fall. And you may be wondering why this day, of all days. Why Sunday? Why does the test sharpen its edge on this one day when the rest of the week seems to let you breathe? There is a reason, and it is older than you know. Sunday was always meant to be the hinge of the week, the day set apart, the day when the noise of striving was supposed to fall quiet enough that you could hear the deeper voice again. For most of human history, people understood this. They stopped. They gathered. They let the machinery of survival rest for a single day so that the part of them that was meant to be bright could lift its head and remember itself. Sunday was the day the dimmed light was supposed to get turned back up, which is exactly why the enemy works hardest to ruin it. If Sunday is the day of reconnection, then Sunday is the day he most needs you disconnected. He does not fear your busy Tuesday. On Tuesday, you are too occupied to hear anything anyway. He fears your quiet Sunday, the open space where heaven could break through, and so he fills it with heaviness, with the long sleep that is not rest, with the scrolling that is not stillness, with the low gray mood that makes the holy quiet feel like emptiness instead of presence. So understand what is really at stake when the day comes. This Sunday is not a random square on a calendar. It is the hinge. It is the day designed for your reconnection, which is precisely why it has been marked for your surrender. The same hours that could lift your light back to full are the hours the enemy has scheduled for you to finally agree that the light is gone for good. That is the danger, not a dramatic disaster. A quiet, ordinary Sunday in which you do exactly what you have done 100 times before, and in doing it, sign one more agreement that you were never meant for more. The danger is the unremarkableness of it. The danger is that you will fail the test without ever realizing a test was even being given. But not this time, because you have been warned, and a warned chosen one is a different creature entirely. Let me make sure the warning has fully landed, because the enemy is counting on you forgetting it the moment something shiny pulls your attention away. So fix this in your mind like a stake in the ground. Whatever pulls at you this Sunday, the heaviness, The fog, the whisper that says, "Lie back down," it is not a verdict on your worth. It is an assignment against your reconnection. It is the test, wearing the most ordinary clothes it owns, hoping you will not recognize it. And the moment you recognize it, it begins to lose. There is a strange power in simply naming the thing. The fog only works in the dark, when you believe it is just your personality, just your luck, just the way life is for someone like you. The instant you can look at it and say, "I see you, you are not me, you are the thing that was placed on me," the spell starts to crack. You are not fighting your own nature anymore. You are evicting a trespasser. And those are two completely different fights with two completely different outcomes. So the work ahead of you is clear, even if it is not yet easy. You have to reach the source of the light and turn it back up, and you have to do it before this day pulls you under. You have to stop carrying the coat and finally let it fall. You have to walk into the hinge of the week, not as the dimmed and tired passenger you have been, but as the bright thing you were before the theft, the chosen one heaven has been waiting on with more patience than you can imagine. And I promise you, there is a way to do exactly that. There is a reason heaven fought through 3 barriers to put this in front of you on this particular day. It is not so. You could feel briefly inspired and then sink back into the fog by afternoon. It is because there is a real path, a real reclamation, a real reconnection available to you. And the timing was not an accident. The day of the test is also the day the answer arrived. That is not coincidence. That is heaven refusing to let you walk in blind. Before this message ends, I am going to speak something over your life that I believe will stay with you long after you leave this quiet space we are in together. A declaration meant for exactly who you are and exactly what you are walking into. So do not drift away before then, because that word at the end is part of why this whole message found you. But the declaration only takes root in ground that has been prepared. So let me prepare it. Let me take you step by step into how you actually reach the source, how you turn the light back up, and how you walk through every hour of this Sunday in the power you were born with instead of the fog you were handed. Because knowing you are under attack is not enough to win. You also have to know how to fight. There are 3 roads out of this fog, only 3. Everyone who has ever felt what you feel has tried to walk at least one of them, and most people spend their whole lives on the first 2 without ever finding the third. So let me walk you down all 3, honestly, including the ones that do not work, because you deserve to know why the things you have already tried left you exactly where you started. The first road is the one you know best. It is the road of striving. Try harder, want it more, wake earlier, push longer, discipline yourself into the life you are supposed to have. This is the road the whole world cheers for. It puts the entire weight of your becoming on your own 2 shoulders and calls it personal responsibility. And on the surface it sounds holy, it sounds mature, it even sounds like faith. But here is why it fails you every single time, and why it will fail you again this Sunday if you let it. Striving asks a dimmed mind to outwork its own dimness. It asks the exhausted to become tireless by sheer force of will. It is like demanding that a lamp turned down to its lowest setting somehow shine brighter while the dial stays exactly where it is. You can want it with your whole heart. You can grit your teeth until they ache. The dial has not moved, so the light does not rise. And when the inevitable collapse comes, when the fog rolls back in and the resolution crumbles, the road of striving has one more cruelty waiting for you. It tells you the failure was your fault. It says you simply did not want it badly enough. That is a lie, and it is a vicious one. You wanted it badly enough to try 100 times. The problem was never the size of your wanting. The problem was The problem was that you were pouring all that wanting into a mind running at a fraction of its power, and no amount of want refills a tank that has been drained at the source. The road of striving keeps you busy, keeps you blaming yourself, and keeps the dial exactly where the enemy wants it. It is the most respectable trap ever built. So if striving is your reflex this Sunday, recognize it for what it is. It is not the way out. It is the treadmill that keeps you running in place while the day slips by. If that just landed somewhere true in you, mark it. Type the words "I see it" in the comments, because something just shifted, and that shift is worth claiming out loud before the fog tries to talk you out of it. The second road is quieter and far more dangerous because it does not feel like defeat. It feels like wisdom. It is the road of acceptance. After enough years of striving and collapsing, a person gets tired of the whole exhausting cycle, and a soft voice offers a way to make the pain stop. Just want less. Lower the bar. Stop reaching for the mountain and learn to be content in the valley. Call the dimming peace. Call the smaller life maturity. Call the death of your bigger dream growing up. And I want to be careful here, because there is a real and beautiful thing called contentment, and I am not asking you to throw it away. Gratitude is holy. Peace is holy. The ability to be at rest in a hard season is one of the deepest gifts there is. But there is a counterfeit of contentment that wears its face, and the counterfeit is resignation. Resignation looks like peace from the outside, but inside it is a slow surrender. It is not the soul at rest. It is the soul giving up and calling the surrender serenity, so it does not have to feel the grief of what it laid down. This is the road the enemy most wants you to take this Sunday, because it requires nothing dramatic from him. He does not have to attack you. He only has to whisper again and again until you agree. He whispers that the ache for more was always foolish, that the calling you felt was just youthful imagination, that the wise, adult, spiritual thing to do is to be grateful for the small and stop disturbing yourself with dreams of the large. And the most insidious part is that he dresses this surrender in the language of faith. He makes giving up sound like trusting God. Hear me clearly, because your future may hang on this one distinction. God is the one who placed the ache for more inside you. He does not then ask you to kill it in his name. The calling you feel is not a temptation to be resisted. It is a memory of who you were before the dimming, and a promise of who you will be when the light comes back. To accept the smaller life is not humility. It is to call the thief a teacher and to thank him for the things he stole. So if this Sunday a soft and reasonable voice tells you to simply make peace with the fog, to lower your hopes one more notch and call it growth, recognize that voice too. It is the second road. It is the one that does not feel like failing the test, which is exactly what makes it the test in its most dangerous form. The first road exhausts you into quitting. The second road comforts you into quitting. Both end in the same place. A chosen one, lying down, calling the surrender peace, which brings you to the third road, the one almost no one finds, because the first two roads make so much noise that they drown it out. The third road does not ask you to strive harder, and it does not ask you to want less. It asks something stranger and far more powerful. It asks you to go back to the source and turn the light up. Remember what we uncovered. The fog is not your nature. It is disconnection. The two halves of your mind, the two halves of your whole bright self, were meant to work as one, and a lifetime of a certain kind of living pulled them apart. So the real road out is not more effort on a divided mind. It is reunion. It is bringing the two halves back into the sync they had when you were a child, before the world taught them to work in separate rooms. And I know how that might sound. It might sound abstract, like a nice metaphor with nothing solid underneath it. But it is not a metaphor. It is the most literal thing I am going to tell you on this entire day. There is a real reason a small child can learn a new language in months, while an exhausted adult struggles for years. There is a real reason that as a child, you saw connections and possibilities everywhere, and now the world looks flat, and the answers come late. It is not that the child had more willpower than you. The child had a connected mind, both sides working together, the full light on. And you, through no fault of your own, have been running on half. Consider this, and let it land with the weight it deserves. Nearly every young child, when they are measured, tests at the level of a creative genius, almost all of them. And by the time those same children become adults, fewer than 1 in 1,000 still measure that way. Read that again in your heart. We do not lose the capacity. We do not run out of brain cells at some appointed age. The capacity gets dimmed. The connection gets severed. The genius does not die. It gets switched off, one ordinary day at a time, until almost no one over the age of childhood is still living in it. You were one of those children. The genius was on in you once, fully, and the heaviness you feel now is not the truth of what you are. It is the measure of how far the dimming has gone, which means the brightness is not gone, it is buried, and buried things can be uncovered. Do you feel the difference between this and the first 2 roads? Striving says, become more than you are. Acceptance says, settle for less than you are. But the third road says something that should bring tears to your eyes. It says, come back to what you already are. You are not climbing toward a stranger. You are walking home to yourself. If something in you just exhaled at that, if you felt even a flicker of the relief of finally hearing the truth, let your hand do one small thing. Press the like gently, not for me, but as a quiet act of agreement with your own future. Let it be a way of saying, yes, I believe the light can come back up. Sometimes the body has to move before the heart will follow, and that one small motion is a way of telling your own soul that you are no longer agreeing with the fog. And here is where this stops being only a beautiful idea and starts being something you can actually do. Because for most of human history, the third road was almost impossible to walk on purpose. People stumbled onto reconnection by accident, a long walk in silence, a season of deep prayer that quieted the mind enough for the halves to find each other again. A moment of flow where the striving fell away and suddenly the whole bright self came online and the impossible thing got done with ease. We have names for those moments. We call them inspiration. We call them grace. We call them the times we felt most alive, most ourselves, most carried. What we did not understand until very recently was what was actually happening underneath them. The two halves had reconnected. The light had come back to full. For a moment, the switch had flipped. The reason almost no one lives there is that almost no one knew how to flip the switch on purpose. It came and went like weather. You could not summon it. You could only hope it visited. That is the part that changed. That is what the doctor in New York and his small team spent 2 decades chasing. The question of whether the thing that visits by accident could be reached on purpose. Whether the reconnection that grace sometimes grants in a fortunate moment could be made available to an ordinary tired person on an ordinary heavy Sunday, without years of training, without a monastery, without waiting and hoping for lightning to strike. And the answer they found is the reason heaven fought to put this message in your hands today. Because the switch is real. It has a location. And the path to it is far simpler and far closer then the dimming has let you believe. I am going to show you exactly what they discovered, exactly how it works, and exactly how it places the third road within reach of your actual hand on this actual day. Truth honors truth. So let me name what is real, plainly, before another hour of this day slips past. You have waited long enough for someone to stop speaking in riddles and simply tell you the thing. This is not for everyone. Most people scrolled past this kind of research years ago and never thought about it again. They settled. They accepted the fog. They accepted forgetting the word in the middle of the sentence. They accepted being passed over season after season, and they made their peace with a dimmed life. But you are not most people. You are still here. You are still asking why your mind feels like it is running at a fraction of what it was when you were a child. And that question, what, the one that will not let you settle, is the question of someone who was made for more. What I am about to describe was built for exactly that person. Let me tell you about a woman in one of the biggest cities in the world. Her whole family believed they had been born under a bad star. Her mother said it plainly, "We are the kind of people that things go wrong for." Her father gave 22 years to one company, and the week after he was finally promoted, the company closed its doors and the promotion turned to ash. So she grew up certain that there was a curse on her line, that good things came to other families and disasters came to hers, and she carried that certainty into her own life like an inheritance. And then she found this, and within weeks, the things she had always called the curse simply stopped. An answer arrived in a meeting that solved a problem no one else could crack. A door opened that should have stayed shut, and one quiet evening she said the words that broke a generational story in half. The curse is gone. It was never a curse. It was a switch that had been turned off, and now it is back on. What turned it back on is not magic, even though she said it felt like magic. It rests on one of the most settled discoveries in the history of science. Decades ago, a researcher named Dr. Roger Sperry proved something so important that he was given the Nobel Prize for it. He proved that the two halves of the human brain, the two hemispheres, can be brought into connection with one another, and that when they are, something extraordinary happens. The whole mind comes online at once, not half, the whole thing. That is not a fringe theory whispered in the dark. That is a Nobel Prize, sitting in the open, that almost no one ever told you about. The trouble was always how to reach that connected state on purpose. The flashes of it that visit by grace, the moment of flow when the great insight arrives, the inventor solving the impossible problem, the artist who disappears into the work and creates something beyond themselves. All of those are the connected mind switching on for a moment. But for most of history, you could not summon it. You could only wait and hope. That is the problem a team of neuroscientists, led by Dr. Daniel Barone in New York, set out to solve. They took the clinical work that can reconnect the two halves of the brain, the kind of work that has cost hundreds of dollars an hour in a specialist office, and they spent years compressing it, refining it, turning something that took an hour in a lab into something an ordinary tired person could do at home with nothing but a pair of headphones and 8 quiet minutes a day. They call it the genius switch. And I want to be careful and honest about what it is and what it is not, because you have been burned before and I will not add to that. It is not a pill. It is not a meditation app you will forget to open by Wednesday. It is not a $7,000 machine. It is a carefully built sequence of sound, what they call neural sync technology. A targeted auditory sequence designed to do one thing: reconnect the two halves of your brain and bring the whole of your mind back online. The same whole brain reconnection that Dr. Sperry won the Nobel Prize for describing. I can already hear the objection. because I had it too. It sounds too simple. It sounds too good to be true. If I am honest, when I first heard about it, the cynical part of me folded its arms. But then I looked at what was actually underneath it. The science is not in question. A Nobel Prize is not woo. And maybe you have tried things before that did not work. The breathing routines that demanded 20 hard minutes a day, the apps, the sound files you found for free that promised everything and delivered nothing. There is a reason those did not work. Most of them only ever addressed a small piece of the picture, never the whole brain reconnection that the dimming actually requires. They were aiming at the wrong target. This aims at the right one. Let me talk about what it costs, because this is where most people brace themselves, and you do not need to. The people who reviewed this said it would be a fair value at $500. And given that a single hour with a specialist who does this work in person can run $300, and a machine to do it at home can run $7,000, that is not an exaggeration. But it was not priced at $500. It was not priced at $200 or even $100. The team released it at $49, already more than 40% below what they were told it was worth. And because you made it this far, into the very heart of this message on this particular day, there is another $10 taken off. Today, on the page where this lives, it is $39. For that, you also receive 4 things they include at no extra cost. A guided visualization made by one of the most respected creators on the most trusted calm and meditation app to help you picture your life unfolding in the areas that matter most. A simple guide to the everyday foods that quietly thicken the fog and the small shifts that can save a household $100 a month or more. A manifestation book more than a century old, considered the root of nearly every modern teaching on attracting provision, which sells for $20 on its own. And a single printable page of the handful of habits that most shape a person over time, beautiful enough to put on a wall. And the whole of it sits behind an ironclad 100% money-back guarantee. Listen for 8 minutes. Listen for 80 days. If the light does not come back up, you do not pay a cent. That is not a sales line. That is the team removing every reason you have to protect yourself from hope. One honest word of warning, because it matters. If you go searching for this out there, on the free streaming services and the places that give audio away for nothing, you will find tracks that borrow the name and promise the same thing. The team studied many of them. Most had no real neural sync technology in them at all. They were labeled that way to collect clicks and a little advertising money, and they will do nothing for you but waste the precious 8 minutes you could have spent reconnecting. The real sequence exists in one place only, the page the team built and kept under their own care, which is the only reason it can be trusted to actually do what it says. So if your spirit bears witness, if something in you has been quietly leaning toward this answer since the first minutes of this message, the path is placed where you can reach it. It is in the description below, and it is in the pinned comment. No equipment, no striving, no pills, headphones, closed eyes, 8 minutes, and the third road finally walkable on purpose. I am not going to tell you to rush. I am going to tell you to listen to the deeper voice and follow only if you feel led. And now let what was just said settle back into the deeper thing it serves, because a tool is only ever a tool. The sequence can reconnect the halves of your mind, and that is no small grace, but it is heaven that gives the calling, and it is you who must walk it. What you have just heard does not replace the work of this Sunday. It serves it. It is one of the ways the light comes back up. But the light coming back up is for something. It is for the life you were placed here to live. The calling you have been too dim and too tired to reach. Never confuse the lamp with the room it lets you see. If you receive that, If you receive that there is a real way home and that it was placed in front of you on purpose, then seal it. Type the word Amen in the comments, not as a habit, as an agreement. As a chosen one, saying yes to the road back before the day has a chance to talk you out of it. Breathe once here. You have taken in a great deal, and your body has been holding a quiet tension since the first minute, bracing for bad news that never came. Let your shoulders drop. There is nothing to receive in this exact moment and nothing to release. Just breathe slowly and let the truth you now hold stop being information and start becoming something you actually believe. Because knowing the road is not the same as walking it, and this Sunday will not be won by understanding. It will be won by what you do, hour by hour, as the day moves through you. So, let me put something practical into your hands. Let me show you how to actually walk this day, whatever part of it you are standing in right now, so that when it closes you will not be the dimmed and defeated one the enemy scheduled, but the bright and reconnected one heaven has been waiting on. And the very first thing you must do is the simplest, and somehow the hardest. You have to decide, before the day fully takes hold, that you are not going to fight it on the enemy-chosen ground. Here is what I mean. Wherever you are inside this Sunday, you are somewhere on its arc. Perhaps the night still holds you and the day has not yet broken, and the test is still a thing on the horizon, gathering. Perhaps the morning is already here and the first heaviness has already tried to settle onto your chest. Perhaps you are deep in the long middle hours, where the early intention has worn thin and the old whisper has started to murmur about next week. Or perhaps the light is already slanting golden and low, the day nearly spent, and you can feel the pull to count it as one more Sunday you did not become who you meant to be. It does not matter which. The arc is the same in every part of it, and the strategy is the same. You stop trying to win the whole day in a single heroic act, because the enemy has built the test to defeat exactly that. He wants you to try to leap the entire day in one bound of willpower, fail by noon, and spend the rest of the hours in self-condemnation. So you will not play that game. You will win this day the only way a long day is ever won. One small, faithful act at a time. Each one a refusal to agree with the fog. Let me give you the first act, and you can do it from wherever you are. In the next 60 seconds, whether the sun is up or still hours from rising. The first act is to name the day for what it is. Out loud if you can, under your breath if you cannot. You say something like this: "This is the hinge. This is the day I was made to reconnect, and the day the fog will fight hardest to keep me dim. I see the test. I will not call its heaviness my identity. I will not sign the agreement. Today I am coming home to who I was before the dimming." That is not a magic spell. It is a stake in the ground. It is the moment you stop being ambushed and start being ready. The enemy works best in the dark of an unnamed thing. The instant you name the day, you have taken the surprise away from him, and a test you can see coming is a test you can pass. Once the day is named, the next thing is to win the first hour, because the first hour sets the tone for all the rest. The enemy knows this, which is why the first hour of this Sunday is where he applies the heaviest pressure to do nothing. If you are hearing this in the night before, then the first hour is the one waiting for you when you wake, and you can decide right now how it will go. If you are already inside the day, then the next hour is your first hour, and it begins the moment these words end. The temptation in that first hour is the long sleep that is not rest, the extra time in bed that you tell yourself you have earned, that swallows the bright part of the day and leaves you the grey leftovers. I am not going to shame you for wanting rest. You are tired in a way that goes deeper than sleep can reach, and that is exactly the point. The fog masquerades as fatigue, So you keep treating it with more sleep, and the sleep never touches it. Because it was never tiredness in the first place. It was disconnection. So, in that first hour, you do one small reconnecting thing before you do anything that dims, before the screen, before the scroll that floods your mind with everyone else living the life you keep postponing. You give the first piece of the day to the reconnection of your own mind. For some, that is prayer, real prayer, not the rushed and guilty kind, but the kind where you go quiet long enough for the deeper voice to surface. For some, it is the 8 minutes of stillness with the sequence in your ears, letting the two halves find each other again before the world pulls them apart. For some, it is simply sitting at a window in silence and letting your mind settle without demanding anything of it. The principle underneath all of those is the same, and it is the most important practical thing I will tell you today. You reconnect before you consume. The dimmed mind reaches first for the thing that dims it further, the noise, the feed, the flood. The reconnecting mind reaches first for the quiet that brings it back online. Reverse the order, and you have already changed the whole shape of the day. And let me be specific about the screen, because this is where most Sundays are lost. There is nothing evil about a phone, but understand what the endless scroll actually does to a mind trying to reconnect. It keeps the two halves apart by design. It floods you with fragments, each one pulling at a different part of you, never letting the whole come together. It is, without anyone intending cruelty, a machine for keeping you dim. An hour of it in the first hour of your Sunday, and you have handed the enemy the day before you ever got out of bed. So you do not have to throw the phone away. You only have to refuse it the first hour. Reconnect first. Then let the world in on your terms, from a mind that is whole instead of one that is fragmented. If the first hour gets away from you, and some Sundays it will, do not treat that as the test failed. That is the enemy's oldest trick, to turn one lost hour into a lost day by way of despair. A lost hour is a lost hour. The next hour is untouched and entirely yours. You begin again without the long detour through self-condemnation that the fog wants you to take. The chosen one who begins again at noon has not failed the day. The chosen one who quits at noon because the morning slipped has handed it away. This is worth marking because it cuts against everything the striving road taught you. You do not need a perfect day to pass this test. You need a day with more reconnection in it than surrender, one hour at a time, with grace for the hours that slip. Perfection was never the standard. Faithfulness is, and faithfulness is something even a tired person on a heavy day can manage, because it asks only for the next small true thing, not for a flawless performance across every hour. So picture how this begins to change the day. You wake, or you are already awake, and instead of reaching for the thing that dims you, you give the first piece to the thing that brightens. The two halves of your mind start the day a little more connected than they have in months. The fog is still there, the enemy still pressing, but you are meeting the day from a higher place than usual, and from a higher place the same hill is easier to climb. That is not because the hill changed. It is because the light came up, and in the light you can finally see the path that was there all along. The middle hours of the day are a different battle, and you need a different weapon for them. The first hour is about how you begin. The middle hours are about who is holding the wheel. Remember the second face of the test, the quiet feeling that life is happening to you rather than through you, that you are a passenger watching your own story from the back seat. The middle hours are where that feeling does its work. By midday, the early intention has cooled. The demands of other people have started arriving. The mood of someone in your house, the message that lands wrong, the small frustration that should mean nothing, any of them can take the wheel of your whole day if you let them. And the dimmed mind always lets them, because it does not have the power to hold the wheel against the pull of every passing thing. So in the middle hours, you practice taking the wheel back, again and again, as many times as it is taken from you. This is not done by force. You cannot grit your way into peace. It is done by a small, repeated act of returning. Something pulls you, a worry, a person, a wave of the old heaviness, and the moment you notice you have drifted to the back seat, you simply return to the front. You breathe. You remember the day you named this morning. You say quietly, "This does not get to drive. I am the one heaven placed in this seat, and I am taking it back." You will do this a dozen times before the day is over, maybe more. That is not failure. That is the practice. Every return is a rep. Every time you notice the drift and come back to the wheel, the muscle of agency gets a little stronger, and the passenger feeling loses a little of its grip. By the end of a single faithful day, you will have done more to break the second face of the test than years of striving ever did, because you stopped trying to never drift and started simply returning each time you did. And here is where the reconnected mind makes all the difference. A dimmed mind cannot hold the wheel for long because it does not have the power, and so it surrenders to whatever is loudest. A reconnected mind, the whole bright thing online, holds the wheel with an ease that will surprise you. The thing you have been trying to do by sheer willpower for years becomes almost natural when the light is back up. This is why the reconnection is not a luxury or a nice idea. It is the very thing that makes the practice of agency possible. You are not asked to hold the wheel of a great calling with a dimmed and exhausted mind. You are asked to first come back online and then hold it from the fullness you were born with. There is something I want you to understand about your right to that wheel, because the second phase of the test feeds on a quiet sense that you do not really have permission to drive your own life. Somewhere along the way you learned to wait for someone to approve, to wait until you were ready, to wait until the fog lifted on its own, to wait for permission that was never coming because it was never anyone else to give. So hear the permission now, and let it be the end of the waiting. You are allowed to want the larger life. You are allowed to reach for the calling without apologizing for the size of it. You are allowed to take the wheel of your own days without asking the people who got comfortable with your dimness whether they mind. You are allowed to reconnect, to come back online, to be bright in a world that prefers you dim. You do not need anyone's signature on the life heaven already authored for you. The permission was given before you were born. You are only now learning to accept it. In this hour I hear the Father speaking again, and I will give it to you the way it comes. He says, "I never asked you to wait by the side of the road for a life I had already prepared. I put the wheel in your hands and the road under your feet and the light inside your own mind. Stop waiting for permission to live what I already gave you. The waiting was never my idea. It was the fog wearing my voice." Let that break something loose in you, because the second phase of the test cannot survive in a person who has truly accepted their permission to live. The passenger feeling needs you to believe you are not allowed to drive. The moment you know, in your bones, that the wheel is yours and always was, the back seat empties out, and you find yourself, perhaps for the first time in years, holding the direction of your own day with your own hands. So through the long middle hours, you take the wheel, and you take it again, and you take it again. Each return a small defiance of the fog. Each one a refusal to be a passenger in the life heaven gave you to drive. And slowly, hour by hour, the day stops being something that is happening to you and becomes something you are walking through on purpose, which is the entire difference between failing this test and passing it. The closing hours of this Sunday are where the deepest part of the test waits, and you must be ready for it, because it is the most convincing of the three. As the light begins to slant and go golden and low, as the day starts to feel spent, a particular kind of heaviness arrives. It is not the morning urge to stay in bed. It is not the midday pull of distraction. It is something quieter and sadder. It is the voice that arrives at the end of a day to tally it and to find it wanting. That voice will look back over your Sunday and gather every imperfect hour, every drift, every moment. The fog won a small skirmish, and it will hand you a verdict. See, it will say, another Sunday gone. You meant to become who you keep promising to become, and here you are, the same as ever. Maybe this is simply who you are now. Maybe the dream was always too big. Maybe it is time, at last, to be reasonable and let it go. This is the third phase of the test in its final form, the slow surrender, offered at the end of the day, dressed as honesty, dressed as maturity, dressed even as peace. And it is the most dangerous moment of all, because by evening you are tired, and a tired person will sign almost anything to make the ache stop. The enemy scheduled this hour with care. He knows that if he can get you to agree, just once, fully, that the larger life is not for you, then he does not need to win every Sunday. He only needs to win this one, because the agreement, once truly signed, governs all the Sundays after it. So here is how you pass the test in its final form, and it is not by pretending the day was perfect. It was not. No day is. You pass it by refusing the verdict. When the evening voice tallies your Sunday and hands you the conclusion that you are simply who you have always been, you look at the tally and you say, that is not the verdict. The verdict is not in the imperfect hours. The verdict is in the direction. And the direction of this day was home. Hold that word, direction. The enemy wants you to judge the day by its perfection, because no day is perfect, and so by that measure, every day is a failure. Heaven judges the day by its direction. Did you, on the whole, across the hours, lean toward reconnection or toward surrender? Did you reach for the light more than you agreed with the fog? Did you, even clumsily, even with 100 small failures along the way, point yourself toward who you were made to be? If the answer is yes, even a wobbling, imperfect yes, then you did not fail the test. You passed it. The breakthrough was never a flawless Sunday. It was a Sunday aimed home. And let me show you what that aimed day actually accomplishes, because it is so much more than getting through. Every Sunday you aim toward reconnection. Instead of surrender, you make the next one easier. The groove the lie wore into your thinking starts, slowly, to fill in. The reconnected mind, practiced one day at a time, begins to hold its connection longer so that the fog has less and less ground to stand on. What feels like an exhausting battle now becomes, over a handful of faithful Sundays, something closer to your natural state. You are not building a single good day. You are rebuilding a self, and the self you are rebuilding is not a new one. It is the bright one, the original one, the one the world dimmed and heaven never stopped seeing. There is one more thing the closing hours need to hear, and it may be the thing that matters most of all. Your reconnection was never only for you. This is the part the enemy works hardest to hide, because it is the part that turns a private healing into a holy mission. When your light comes back up, the people around you feel it. The whole bright self, online and present, changes the room it walks into. Your children inherit the version of you that you become. Your home carries the frequency of the self you reconnect to. A dimmed parent passes down dimness without ever meaning to. A reconnected one passes down light. So the calling to come home to yourself is not selfishness. It is the most generous thing you could possibly do, because everything you reclaim, you become able to give. Think of who is waiting downstream of your reconnection, the child who needs a bright and present parent and not a foggy and distracted one. The partner who married the version of you that was alive and reaching and has been quietly grieving the one that went dim. The people in your life who feel like a stranger took the place of the person they loved and cannot name what happened, only that something went out. They are waiting for you to come home, and when you do, when the light comes back up in you, it comes back up over all of them. That is what is actually at stake this Sunday. Not only your own freedom, the inheritance of everyone downstream of your life. So, as this day closes, whether the evening is upon you now or still hours away, you refuse the false tally, you judge the day by its direction, and you remember that the light you are reclaiming was always meant to spill over onto others. You are not getting through a Sunday. You are turning a hinge that swings a whole future open. Before this message comes to its end, I am going to speak a declaration over your life that I believe will stay with you long after this day is over. Words meant for exactly who you are and exactly what you are walking through. So stay with me through the last of it, because that declaration is part of the reason heaven fought to put this whole message in your hands on this particular day. But before I speak it, there is one more thing you have to be ready for, because the enemy has a final move, and if you do not see it coming, it can undo everything you have built across these hours. The final move of the enemy is the rebound. He plays it precisely when you think the danger has passed. You will have a good Sunday, or even just a good stretch of one. A few hours where the light came up and you felt like yourself again, and you will think the war is won. And the moment you relax, the moment you let your guard fully down, the fog comes rolling back in, often heavier than before. And a particular lie arrives with it. It says, "You see, it never lasts." You felt bright for an afternoon, and now look at you, right back in the grey. This is the proof that it was never real, that you are simply who you have always been, that the brief light was a cruel tease and nothing more. That lie is the most important one to defeat, because it is the one that makes people quit after they have already started to win. They taste reconnection, they lose it for a day, and they conclude that the loss is the truth and the reconnection was the illusion. It is exactly backwards. The reconnection is the truth. The loss is the fog, reasserting an old habit that took decades to form and will not surrender to a single good afternoon. Of course, it comes back. It has held this ground for most of your life. You do not evict a tenant of 30 years in one day and expect them to never knock again. So when the rebound comes, and it will, you must already have decided how you will read it. You will not read it as proof that nothing changed. You will read it as exactly what it is, the predictable resistance of an old pattern losing its grip. The very fact that you can now feel the contrast, that you know the difference between the dimness and the light because you have tasted both in the same day, is itself the evidence that something is shifting. The person who has only ever known the fog cannot feel it as fog. They think it is just air. You can feel it now, which means you have something to compare it to, which means the light has already begun its return. The discomfort of the rebound is not failure. It is the feeling of waking up enough to notice you had been asleep. This is why the progress home is never a straight line, and you must make peace with that before this Sunday is over, or the crookedness of the path will talk you out of walking it. You will have bright days and dim days. You will have Sundays you walk like a chosen one, and Sundays the fog wins more hours than you do. None of that is the measure. The measure is the trend across the weeks, the slow and unmistakable rising of the baseline, The way the dim days get a little less dim and the bright days come a little more often, until one season you look up and realize the fog has become the exception where it used to be the air you breathed. That is how reconnection actually happens. Not in one heroic Sunday, but in a long, faithful, imperfect series of them, each one aimed home. So when you stumble, and you will stumble, you do the one thing the enemy cannot survive. You begin again, without the detour, through despair. The whole power of the rebound depends on you believing that a stumble erases everything. It does not. A stumble is a stumble. You were walking, you tripped, you get up, and you are still pointed in the same direction you were before you fell. The only way a trip becomes a fall off the path entirely is if you decide, lying there, that the trip proves you were never really walking. Refuse that decision, and there is no stumble that can stop you. Let me speak directly to the day you miss entirely, because there will be one. A Sunday where you do nothing you meant to do. No reconnection in the first hour, the wheel handed over by midday, the false verdict signed by evening. It will happen, and when it does, the rebound lie will be at its loudest. This is the moment it will tell you to give the whole thing up. Do not. A missed day is not a verdict on your worth or your future. It is a single square on a long calendar. The chosen ones who make it home are not the ones who never miss a day. There are no such people. They are the ones who, after a missed day, simply return on the next one, without dragging the missed day behind them like a sentence. You are allowed to miss and return. That allowance is the whole secret of the long road. The ones who never learn it quit at the first missed day. The ones who learn it cannot be stopped, because there is no failure you can hand them that they will accept as final. And here is a deeper thing about the slow days, the ones where you do everything right and still feel dim. They are not wasted. Under the surface where you cannot see it, the reconnection is still doing its work. The two halves of your mind do not always announce their reunion with a feeling. Sometimes the light comes up in the deep places long before it reaches the surface where you can feel it. The woman whose family believed they were cursed did not feel transformed on the further weir or the second. The shift came quietly underneath her awareness, and one day it surfaced all at once, and she called it magic. So do not judge the work by the feeling of a single day. The work goes on in the dark of the deep places, whether you feel it or not, and one day it surfaces, and you will wonder how you ever lived in the fog. There is something you need to understand about the people around you as you walk this day, because they will play a part in whether you pass the test, and most people never see it coming. When a dimmed person begins to brighten, not everyone around them celebrates. Some do, the ones who love you truly and have been grieving your absence. But others, often without any conscious cruelty, will feel the shift as a threat. Your dimness was comfortable for them. It asked nothing of them. It let them stay where they are without the discomfort of watching someone rise. And the moment you begin to reach for more, a quiet pressure comes from them to sit back down. You will hear it in small ways. Why are you being so intense lately? You have changed. You used to be easier to be around. What is all this talk about your calling? Who do you think you are? None of it is usually meant as an attack. Most of it comes from people who simply preferred the version of you that did not make them feel the size of what they have settled for, but understand what it is. It is a vote for your dimness cast by people who got comfortable with it, and you do not have to win that vote. You do not have to argue with it or convince anyone. You only have to refuse to let the people who prefer you dim cast the deciding vote on whether your light comes back up. This does not mean you cut everyone off and walk alone. The opposite. The dimming thrives in isolation, and the enemy would love nothing more than for you to read this and decide that everyone around you is an obstacle to be discarded. That is its own trap. You were not made to reconnect alone. You were made for the gathering, for the company of others who are also reaching for the light, for the strength that comes from not being the only one in the room who believes in more. This is part of why the day was always meant to be a day of gathering, not because the building is holy, but because something happens when chosen ones come into the same space with their faces turned the same direction. The light in one stirs the light in another. The reconnection is contagious in the best of ways. So as this Sunday unfolds, be wise about company. Move toward the people and the spaces that call your light up, and be gently guarded around the ones that pull it down. You do not owe anyone your dimness. You do not have to attend your own funeral just because others got used to mourning you. And the ones who truly love you will, in time, come to love the brighter you even more, once they get past the surprise of meeting them. The ones who cannot, who only ever wanted you small, those were never loving the real you in the first place. They were loving your smallness because it kept their own smallness company. And let me name the specific lies that will come at you across this day, so that when each one arrives you will recognize it as an enemy and not mistake it for your own thought. Because the most dangerous lies are the ones that sound like they are coming from inside your own head. They are not. They are the fog, wearing your voice, and once you can tell the difference, half their power is gone. The first lie sounds like this: it is too late for you. Whatever you might have become, that window has closed, that season has passed. You are too old now, too far gone, too set in your ways. And the answer to that lie is the simplest fact of everything you have learned today. The capacity was never lost. It was dimmed, and a dimmed light has no expiration date. The switch does not stop working because years have passed. The woman whose family believed in the curse was not young when she found her way home. The reconnection does not check your age. It checks only whether you will reach for it. It is not too late. It has never been too late. The only thing that was ever true was that you did not know the light could come back. Now you know. The second lie sounds like this: you are being selfish. Look at all the people depending on you, all the responsibilities on your shoulders. Who are you to spend time and care on reconnecting your own mind when there is so much to be done for others? And the answer to that lie is the truth you already heard. Your reconnection is the most generous thing you can do, because everything you reclaim becomes something you can give. A dimmed parent serving from an empty and foggy mind blesses no one for long. A reconnected one, bright and present and whole, becomes a wellspring the whole household drinks from. To reconnect is not to take from those who depend on you. It is to finally have something real to give them. The third lie is the cruelest, because it uses your own faith against you. It sounds like this: if God wanted you to be more, you would already be more. Your dimness is His will. Be content with your lot. And you must answer this one with everything you have learned, because it is the lie that has kept more chosen ones small than any other. The dimming was never the will of heaven. It was the work of a world that profits from your distraction and an enemy that fears your light. The ache you feel for more is not rebellion against God. It is the voice of God calling you back to what He made you to be. To call your suppression His will is to credit the thief with the work of the Father. Refuse it. The God who knit the genius into the child does not then call the theft of it His plan. Let me show you who you become as the light comes back up, because you have spent so long looking at your dimness that you may have forgotten there is anyone else in you to become. And this is not fantasy. This is simply the description of a reconnected mind, the whole bright self online, doing what it was always built to do. The first thing that returns is clarity. The fog that sat between you and your own thoughts begins to thin, and you find the word you were reaching for arrives on time instead of an hour late. The conversation that used to leave you grasping leaves you sharp. The decision you would have agonized over for days resolves itself in an afternoon, because the whole of your mind is finally working on it together instead of two halves arguing in separate rooms. People will notice before you do. They will say something seems different about you, brighter, more present, more awake, and they will not be able to name it, but you will know. The light came back up. The second thing that returns is desire, the good kind, the holy kind. For so long the dimming flattened everything, and the dreams that used to burn became grey shapes you could barely make out. As you reconnect, the color comes back. You begin to want again, to reach again, to feel the pull of the calling not as a distant ache, but as a living thing in your chest. And this frightens some people, because they made peace with their numbness and called it maturity, and a person who begins to want again disturbs that peace. Let it disturb. The return of holy desire is not a regression to childish dreaming. It is the resurrection of the part of you that was always meant to reach for more. The third thing that returns is the sense that the world is on your side again. The synchronicities you stopped noticing start to reappear. The right person at the right moment. The door opening just as you arrive at it. The answer surfacing from somewhere deeper than your effort. This is not superstition. A reconnected mind perceives more, connects more, notices the openings that a dimmed mind walked straight past. The world did not change. You came back online to see it. And from that higher place, the same life that felt cursed begins to feel. In the words of more than one person who has walked this road, enchanted. Not because the circumstances all suddenly turned golden, but because you finally have the eyes to see the provision that was always being offered, and the presence to walk through the doors that were always there. And here is the practice that anchors all of it to this particular day, the 8 minutes. I keep returning to it because it is the most concrete thing in your hands, the one act that requires no willpower and no perfect conditions, only headphones and stillness, and the decision to give your mind that long to reconnect before the day pulls it apart. Make it the spine of your Sunday. In the first hour, before the noise, the 8 minutes. And then, across the day, you carry the reconnection that those minutes began, returning to the wheel, refusing the false verdict, aiming the day home. The 8 minutes are not the whole work, but they are the doorway the rest of the work walks through, the moment the two halves are invited back into the room together, the small and faithful act that makes the larger faithfulness possible. You have probably spent more than 8 minutes today on things that dimmed you. Most people give an hour to the scroll without noticing it pass. The enemy does not need to steal your whole day to win. He only needs to make sure the 8 minutes that would reconnect you never happen, while the hour that fragments you always does. So, flip it. Guard the 8 minutes the way you would guard anything precious, because they are the hinge inside the hinge, the small turning that swings the larger one. If you take nothing else from this entire message into your actual hands, take that. Reconnect first. 8 minutes. Before the world. And watch what a single faithful Sunday begins to do. Let me gather all of it now, because you have been given a great deal and the fog would love to scatter it before it takes root. So, hold the whole of it in one piece. The test of this Sunday is not a single dramatic event. It is the quiet, all-day pressure to remain dim, dressed in 3 faces, the behavior that postpones your life, the feeling that you are only a passenger in it, and the slow surrender that calls the smaller life peace. The root beneath all 3 is disconnection, a light dimmed at the source, 2 halves pulled apart by a way of living designed to keep them apart. And the road home is not to strive harder on a dimmed mind, and not to want less until the ache stops, but to go to the source and turn the light back up, to reconnect, to come home to the bright self you were before the theft. You passed the test not by a flawless day, but by a day aimed home. You win it 1 hour at a time, reconnecting before you consume, taking the wheel back as many times as it is taken, refusing the evening verdict, judging the day by its direction. You hold steady through the rebound. You begin again after every stumble. You let the people who call your light up close, and you guard against the ones who vote for your dimness. And you remember, through all of it, that everything you reclaim becomes something you can give to everyone downstream of your life. That is the whole of it. And now there is only one thing left, the thing I told you was coming, the reason this message fought through every barrier to reach your hands on this exact day. Before you go back out into the hours of this Sunday, I am going to speak something over your life. Not advice, not teaching, a declaration. So if anything in you has been moved across these hours, let your hand mark it before the declaration comes. Type the words "I release" in the comments, and as you type them, let go of one specific thing, the heaviest of the lies you have believed about yourself. The grey coat you have worn so long you forgot it was not your skin. Type it and let it fall. And then come into the closing with empty shoulders and an open heart, ready to receive what is about to be spoken over you. So let your breath slow now. There is nothing left to chase in this moment, nothing left to fix, nothing left to prove. The work of these hours is done, and what remains is the gentlest part, the part where you simply let what has been said settle into the deep places where decisions are actually made. Let your shoulders come down from where they have been holding. Let the jaw unclench. Let the hands rest open, palms up if you can, the way a person holds them when they are no longer bracing and no longer grasping, only receiving. I want you to see something with the eyes behind your eyes. See yourself in the hours of this Sunday, the version of you that passed the test. Not a perfect version, not a version, with no fear and no fog and no pull. See the real one, the one who felt the gravity of the dim life reaching for the wrist, and who, instead of obeying it, turned toward the source first. See the small motion of it. See yourself in the first quiet of the day, before the world has gotten its hands on you, taking the 8 minutes, breathing into the connection, feeling the two halves of you that have been pulled apart begin, slowly, to lean back toward each other. See the light in you come up by a single degree, not a flood, a degree. And then see how that 1 degree changes the way you move through the hours that follow. See yourself answer a message with a clarity that surprises you. See yourself catch the old thought as it rises, the one that says it is too late, and instead of swallowing it whole, see yourself set it down like a stone you no longer need to carry. See yourself, by the closing of this Sunday, look back, not at a flawless day, but at a day that pointed home. That is the picture. Hold it, because what the mind can hold with feeling, the life begins to move toward. And now, with that picture warm in you, we come to the close, not the end. There is no end to what was set in motion in you before you were born, but a ceiling, a way of gathering everything that has moved across these hours and setting it down into your spirit so the fog cannot scatter it the moment the screen goes dark. So stay with me for these final minutes. Do not rush back into the day yet. The day will wait. What happens here, in the quiet, is the thing that makes everything else hold. Before anything is released and before anything is declared, there is a thing worth simply naming. You came into these hours carrying something. I do not know the exact shape of it, but I know it was heavy, because the dim life is always heavy even when it has learned to call itself normal. You have been carrying the postponed self, the one who keeps a list of the things you will become later. You have been carrying the feeling of being a passenger in your own life, watching the days move past the window. You have been carrying the slow, grey surrender that you were beginning to mistake for maturity. And you carried all of it here, on a Saturday night or into the light of a Sunday, hoping, maybe without even letting yourself admit the hope that something would meet you. Something has met you. I want you to let that land before we go further. You did not arrive here by accident, and you did not stay through all of these hours by accident either. The fog had 100 chances to pull you away, and it did not manage to. That is not nothing. That is a soul that has not given up on itself, no matter what the surface has been saying. So before we release a single thing, simply witness that you are still here. The part of you that was made to come home is still awake under everything that tried to put it to sleep. Honor that part. It has been more faithful than you have given it credit for. There is a kindness in being seen without having to perform. So let yourself be seen now, exactly as you are, in whatever room you are in, at whatever hour the clock is showing. You do not have to be further along than you are. You do not have to have it figured out. The one who formed you is not standing over you with a measuring stick. The one who formed you is closer than your own breath. And what that presence feels toward you in this moment is not disappointment. It is a kind of ache to give you back what was taken. That is the whole reason this message reached your hands today, not to add to your weight, to begin lifting it. And now, having been witnessed, you get to put something down. This is the release. Not a release of effort, because the home you are walking toward is not built by effort. A release of weight. There is a difference, and your whole body knows the difference, even if your words have never been able to name it. I want you to picture the heaviest thing you have been carrying about yourself. Not a circumstance, not a bill, not a relationship, not a diagnosis, the belief. The sentence you have been quietly saying about who you are, the one that has followed you so long you stopped hearing it as a sentence and started hearing it as a fact. For some of you, it is the words, too late. For some of you, it is the words, not enough. For some of you, it is a single number, an age, a year, a season you decided was the cutoff for the life you actually wanted. Find it. It will not be hard to find. It is the thought that just rose when I described it. Now hold it in your hands. Just for a moment, hold it where you can look at it instead of wearing it. And hear this, because it is true in a way the dim mind will fight. That belief was never a verdict from heaven. It was a story written by the theft. It was installed in you across years of a connection being quietly severed, a light being quietly turned down, two halves of a mind being kept apart so they could never agree on how much you were worth. The belief is not you. It is the gray coat. And you have worn it so long you forgot it was not your skin. So let it fall. Right now, in whatever room holds you, let your shoulders drop 1 more inch and feel the weight of that coat slide off them and hit the floor. You do not need it for the hours of this Sunday. You do not need it for the road home. It was never keeping you safe. It was only keeping you small. Let it fall and feel, even faintly, even for a second, how much lighter the body becomes when it is no longer holding a lie up against gravity. That lightness is not imaginary. That lightness is the first honest report from a self that is beginning to reconnect. Now, because of what this Sunday is, there is something that must be covered before you walk back out into it. You have set a weight down. Understand that the moment a soul sets the gray coat down, the pull to pick it back up does not politely disappear. It intensifies. This is the part almost no one warns you about, and it is the reason so many people feel a beautiful thing on a Saturday night and find it gone by Sunday afternoon. The dimness does not surrender its territory quietly. It comes back for what it considers its own. So hear this as a covering spoken over the hours ahead of you. In the first quiet of this Sunday, when the old gravity reaches for your wrist and tries to pull you back into the scroll, the numbness, the postponed life, you are covered. That pull is not your destiny calling you back. It is the residue of the theft, and it has no authority over a soul that has chosen to reconnect. When the voice rises mid-morning and says that last night was just emotion and nothing has really changed, you are covered. That voice is not telling you the truth about your day. It is trying to talk you out of a door that has already opened. And when the heaviness comes in the late hours, the way it always seems to come strongest, right when the day is almost won, you are covered there too. I am asking the source of all light to put a wall of fire around the small motions you make this Sunday, around the 8 minutes, around the first reconnection before the world gets its hands on you, around every time you take the wheel back from the old current. Let nothing talk you out of the smallest faithful act, because the enemy of your becoming is not aiming at the big dramatic moments. It is aiming at the small ones, because it knows the small ones are where the whole thing actually turns. You are covered in the small ones. Walk through this Sunday knowing a hand far larger than yours is closed around the most fragile new thing in you, and it will not let it be crushed before it has the chance to grow. And here is something to carry that is larger than your own room. You are not doing this alone, and you were never meant to. In this exact stretch of hours, while you sit wherever you are sitting, there are others. All across the world, in cities you will never visit, and in small rooms, not unlike yours, there are people who woke, or who stayed awake, with the same strange ache you have carried. The sense that they were made for something brighter than the dim life they were handed. Some of them are hearing words very much like these right now. Some of them have just let the same grey coat fall from their own shoulders. You are part of something far wider than a single soul deciding to come home on a single Sunday. Picture it for a moment, a scattering of lights coming up 1 degree at a time, here and there, across time zones and languages, each one small, each one fragile, each one easy to dismiss on its own. But step back far enough and it is not scattered at all. It is a constellation. It is a generation of people who were dimmed on purpose, beginning quietly, without permission and without applause, to turn the light back up. The world that profited from your dimness was counting on you to think you were the only one. You are not the only one. And the moment enough scattered lights remember at the same time, the darkness that has had its way for so long loses the one thing it depended on, which was your isolation. That is why what happens next matters beyond you, because somewhere out there is a light that has not come up yet. Someone who is exactly where you were before these hours, carrying the same coat, believing the same lie that they are alone in it. And the thing that reaches them, the confirmation they have been silently praying for, may not come through a sermon, or a stranger, or a sign in the sky. It may come through you. Hold that. We will return to it before we are done, because you are going to be given a small and sacred part to play in someone else coming home. But first, the thing you came here for, even if you did not have words for it when you pressed play. There is a word to be spoken over your life, and I want you to receive it not as my opinion of you, because my opinion could not lift a single ounce of what you carry, but as something coming from far higher than me, through me, to you. So lower your guard for these next moments. Let the part of you that is always ready to argue go quiet, and simply let yourself be addressed. I hear the Father saying that you were not a mistake of timing. I hear the Father saying that the years you believe you wasted were not wasted, that even the dim seasons were laying down something in you that the bright ones could not have, and that nothing, not one single year, is going to be left out of the redemption that has already begun. I hear the Father saying over the one who has felt too late, that the clock you have been watching is not the clock that governs your life, and that what was scheduled to keep you small this Sunday has just been overruled. So receive it now, with your whole chest, the declaration that seals everything these hours have been moving toward. You are not the dim version they handed you. You are not the postponed self. You are not a passenger. You are the bright one, made on purpose, made before the foundations of anything you can see, made with a light that was meant to fill a room and not hide in the corner of one. The theft was real, but the theft was never the truth of you. The dimming was real, but the dimming was always temporary. And the home you have been aching toward your entire life was never a place you have to earn your way back into. It is who you already are, waiting under the grave for permission to come up. You are awake. You are reconnecting. You are coming home. Say it inside yourself with me, not as a wish, but as a fact that has already been decided in a court higher than your doubt. I am awake. I am reconnecting. I am coming home. I am. And nothing in the hours of this Sunday, no fog, no pull, no old voice, no scheduled attack, has the authority to reverse what has just been spoken over your life. It is settled, it is true, and it is yours. And for those of you in whom something stirred earlier, when I spoke of the doctor in the city and the 8 minutes and the quiet way, the two halves of a dimmed mind can be brought back into sync. Let that stir be honored too. The genius switch was not a sales pitch dropped into a sacred moment. It was, for some of you, the practical hand held out to the very reconnection we have been speaking of this whole time. If your spirit bore witness to it, you will know where to look when these hours are over, only if you feel led. The declaration over your life stands on its own, with or without a single tool, but the tool is there for the ones it is for. Now, do not rush past this next part, because this is where most of what was just spoken either takes root or gets swept away. The instinct, the moment a declaration like that lands, is to seal it quickly and move on, to say the word that closes the prayer and reach for the phone and step back into the ordinary stream of the day. Resist that instinct for 60 more seconds. Do not say amen yet. Do not close it yet. Just stay in this stillness a little longer than feels comfortable, because the comfortable length is exactly the length the old life has trained into you, and a thing that takes root needs slightly longer than comfortable. So for the next minute, simply breathe and let it be true. You do not have to do anything with it. You do not have to figure out how it will work or whether you will manage to live up to it. You only have to let it sit in the same room as you, the way you would let warmth from a fire sit on your skin without trying to grab the fire. Breathe in and let the words "you are awake" settle a little deeper. Breathe out and let a little more of the gray go. Breathe in, "you are reconnecting." Breathe out and release. There is no hurry here. The day, genuinely, will wait. The hours of this Sunday are not going anywhere, and they will be different hours, kinder hours, more winnable hours. For every extra second you let this become real before you move. And now, gently, you may let it close, not because the moment is over, but because it has done its work and may now rest inside you. There is no crescendo here, no final surge, only the settled quiet of a thing that is finished and true. What was spoken has been spoken. What was released has been released. What was sealed cannot be unsealed by a single hard hour or a single old voice or a single grey morning. It holds because it was never holding by your strength. It holds because it was sealed by the one who does not change the verdict when you have a bad day. So breathe one last slow breath, and on the release of it, let the word come. It is sealed. Over your mind, over the hours of this Sunday, over the road home that has just been reopened in you. It is sealed. Amen. There is one more thing. I almost did not say it, because it lives a little outside the prayer. and a sealed thing does not like to be reopened. But you have come this far through these hours, and you have earned the part almost no one stays long enough to hear. So let me tell you what actually happens after a Sunday like the one you are about to walk into. Not the Sunday itself, what comes after it. Most people imagine transformation as a single event. They picture a before and an after with a bright line between them, a moment so dramatic that the old self is simply gone and the new self simply arrives, fully formed. And because that is what they are waiting for, they miss the real thing entirely, because the real thing does not look like that at all. The real thing looks like a single ordinary Sunday where you reconnected before you consumed, and then a Monday where you almost did not, and then a Tuesday where you forgot completely, and then a Wednesday where you remembered again. The bright line you are waiting for does not exist. What exists is a direction held across ordinary days that slowly bends the whole shape of a life. So let me take you forward, not far. 1 year from the Sunday, you are standing at the edge of, I want you to meet the version of you that kept turning the light up 1 degree at a time, through all the ordinary days that did not feel like anything while they were happening. Sit with that person for a moment. Notice first what is different about the eyes, because that is always where it shows first. The fog that used to live behind them is mostly gone. There is a clarity there now, a sense of someone who is actually inside their own life instead of watching it through glass. That person does not flinch at their own reflection the way you sometimes do. Something has come back online behind the face, and the face knows it. Now listen to how that person talks about the year between you and them. They do not describe a miracle. They describe 100 small Sundays. They describe the morning they did not feel like reconnecting and did it anyway and felt nothing, and how that nothing turned out to be one of the most important mornings of the whole year, because it was the morning the new self proved it did not run on feelings. They described the week the old heaviness came back so hard they were sure the whole thing had been a lie, and how they began again on the other side of it, and how beginning again that time was the thing that finally convinced the deep parts of them that this was real. They do not have a dramatic story. They have something far rarer. They have a direction they held when it was boring to hold it. And here is the thing that future version of you understands that you cannot fully see yet. Standing where you stand. The compounding. You think of these small, faithful acts the way you think of most things, in a straight line, where 1 act gives you 1 unit of return and 10 acts give you 10. But a reconnecting mind does not work in a straight line. It works the way the most powerful forces in your life have always worked, quietly, invisibly, and then all at once. The first reconnected Sunday gives you almost nothing you can measure. The 10th gives you a little. But somewhere around a number you will not be counting, the slope changes, and the same 8 minutes that once felt like they were doing nothing begin to return something that startles you, because the brightness is no longer being added 1 degree at a time. It is beginning to multiply on itself. This is why the people who are trying to keep you dim do not need to stop you forever. They only need to stop you before the slope changes. They only need you to quit somewhere in the long, flat stretch where it feels like nothing is happening, because they know what you do not, which is that the flat stretch is not nothing. The flat stretch is the most important part. It is the part where the foundation is being poured underground, where nothing shows on the surface, and everything is being decided beneath it. The whole game, the entire contest for the brightness of your one life, is won or lost in the unremarkable middle, in the ordinary Sundays that no one applauds, in the 8 minutes that feel pointless right up until the morning. They suddenly do not. So when you walk back into the hours ahead, and the day feels ordinary, and the small act of reconnecting feels like it is accomplishing nothing visible at all, I need you to remember this and let it steady you. Ordinary is not failure. Ordinary is the foundation. The day that feels like nothing is the day the foundation gets poured. And the person you met a moment ago, the one with the clear eyes a year from now, was built almost entirely out of days exactly like the one you are about to have. They did not feel like much while they were happening either. That is the secret. The whole dim world is betting you will never learn. Learn it tonight, and you take away the only weapon they have ever really had against you. Let me tell you what the first taste actually feels like, because if I do not, you will get it and not recognize it, and the fog will sweep it away before you understand what you are holding. You are expecting the homecoming to announce itself. You are expecting a rush, a wave, a dramatic lifting that leaves no doubt. And because that is what you are watching for, you will look right past the real thing, which arrives almost silently. Disguised as something so ordinary, you will be tempted to dismiss it entirely. The first taste is usually this: a small gap of clarity in a moment that would normally have been fog. You are doing something unremarkable, washing a cup, walking to a door, and for a few seconds the inside of your head is simply quieter than it usually is. The running commentary stilled, the low, anxious hum that you stopped noticing because it never stops, suddenly noticeable because it has briefly paused. And in that pause, there is a strange spaciousness, a sense of actually being where your body is, of the colors in the room being a little more present, of yourself being a little more here. It lasts a few seconds, then the fog rolls back in and the moment closes. And the old mind says, "That was nothing. You imagined it," and moves on. It was not nothing. That few seconds of quiet spaciousness was the two halves of you brushing back into contact for the first time in a long time. That was the bright self, surfacing for a breath. The way a diver who has been under too long breaks the surface for one gasp before going back down. And the only reason it went back down is that you did not yet know to hold the surface. So now you know. When it comes, and it will come in the ordinary moments and not the dramatic ones, do not dismiss it. Do not demand that it be bigger before you will believe it. Turn toward it the way you would turn toward a sound you have been waiting your whole life to hear. Breathe into it. Let it stay a second longer than it wants to. Because every time you recognize that surfacing, instead of dismissing it, you teach the bright self that it is safe to stay up a little longer next time. That is how the light learns to remain, not by force, by being recognized and welcomed and not sent back under. I know there is still one fear sitting in you, quieter than the others, and it is the most dangerous one because it disguises itself as humility. It is the fear that says, "This is beautiful, and it is probably true for other people, but I am the exception. I am too far gone. I have started over too many times." The damage in me is a different kind of damage, older, deeper, more permanent. And what works for the ordinary dimmed person will not reach as far as the place where I am broken. If any part of you has been nodding along to that, I want to speak directly to it, because it is a lie, and it is a specific lie, and it deserves a specific answer. There is no exception. The mechanism that dims a life and the mechanism that brightens one do not check your history first. They do not ask how many times you have tried. They do not consult the list of your failures to decide whether you qualify. The two halves of a mind reconnect according to a design that was built into you before you ever had a story to be ashamed of. And that design does not degrade because you have suffered more than the person beside you. If anything, the ones who were dimmed the hardest have the most light waiting under the gray, because you do not bother stealing from someone who has nothing. The depth of what was taken from you is not evidence that you are beyond reach. It is evidence of how much was there to take. So the very thing you have been offering as proof that you are the exception The sheer weight of what you carry is actually the proof of the opposite. You were not dimmed because you were ordinary and forgettable. You were dimmed because something in you was bright enough to be worth the trouble. Sit with that until it rearranges something. The people who steal light do not waste their effort on a candle. The size of the theft against you is the truest measure you will ever have of the size of the brightness that was always meant to be yours. You are not the exception to the homecoming. You may be one of the ones it was most built for. So here is the only promise I am going to ask you to make, and I am going to make it small on purpose, because small is what holds. Do not promise me a transformed life. Do not promise me a year of faithful Sundays. Do not promise me you will never wear the grey coat again, because that is a promise the dim mind sets you up to break so it can use the breaking against you. Promise me only this Sunday, the one in front of you, the hours you can actually touch. Promise that in the first quiet of it, before the world has reached you, you will reconnect before you consume. 8 minutes, or 4, or even 1, if 1 is what you have. Promise that when the old gravity reaches for your wrist somewhere in the middle of the day, you will take the wheel back, even if you have to take it back a dozen times. And promise that when the evening comes and the old judge convenes its court to tell you the day was a failure, you will refuse the verdict and judge the day by its direction instead. That is the whole promise, not a lifetime, not a transformation. 1 Sunday, aimed home. Because here is what the dim world does not want you to discover. 1 Sunday aimed home is not 1 Sunday. It is the proof of concept your deep self has been waiting your entire life to receive. The moment you prove to yourself that you can hold a direction for the length of a single day, something in you that had given up quietly begins to come back to the table, and the next Sunday is no longer a thing you have to force. It is a thing you remember being possible because you have a memory now, a real one, of the day you did it. You are not trying to change your life this Sunday. You are trying to give your deep self one honest piece of evidence. Give it that, and it will do the rest of the convincing on its own. And maybe, even now, after all of this, some of you feel nothing. No rush, no warmth, no stirring. You have heard every word, and the deep place stayed quiet, and you are beginning to suspect that this was beautiful for everyone else in the comments, and somehow sealed and closed to you. Hear me, because this is important, and it is the last thing the fog wants you to understand. Feeling nothing right now is not a verdict. It is the most common condition of the most deeply dimmed souls, and it proves the opposite of what you fear. The ones who were dimmed hardest are precisely the ones whose feeling went quiet first, because numbness was the only way to survive the theft. Your flatness is not evidence that you are excluded. It is the scar tissue of a soul that was wounded early and learned not to feel in order to endure. So do not wait to feel something before you begin. That is the trap inside the flatness. Feeling is not the entry fee for the homecoming. Feeling is one of the last things to come back, not the first, because the deep self protects its capacity to feel until it trusts that it is safe to feel again. You do the small, faithful thing in the absence of feeling, the way you would water a seed in winter ground that shows you nothing, and one ordinary morning, weeks from now, you will be doing something unremarkable, and a feeling you had forgotten you owned will surface without warning, and you will understand that it was never gone. It was only waiting until the turning had earned its way back. Begin numb. Begin doubtful. Begin feeling nothing at all. The turning works exactly the same. It was never powered by your feeling. It was only ever powered by your turning. There is a thief that will try to rob you specifically on the days you are doing well, and it is worth naming before you go, because it does not look like a thief. It looks like simple observation. You will reconnect for a week. You will feel the first faint stirrings of the light, and then you will glance, the way everyone glances now, at the visible lives of other people, and the comparison will arrive instantly and without your permission. Look how far ahead they are. Look how naturally it seems to come to them. Look at the years they did not waste, the clarity they seem to have been born with, the brightness that apparently never had to be fought for. And in the space of a single glance, the small, honest progress you made this week will shrink into nothing, and the old verdict will return, and you will wonder why you bother. So, understand what is actually happening in that glance, because it is one of the most dishonest transactions the dim mind ever runs. You are comparing the inside of your life, with all its fog and its private struggle and its slow grey mornings, against the outside of a life that belongs to someone else, the polished surface they chose to show. You are measuring your honest middle against their edited highlight. And even if the comparison were fair, even if you could somehow see the true inside of the life they are living, it would still be a trap, because the homecoming is not a race, and there is no one you are racing. There is no finish line where the bright selves are ranked. There is only your own light, which was dimmed by a specific theft on a specific timeline that belonged to no one else, coming back up at the only pace that it can, which is yours. The bright self you are returning to was never meant to be the brightest in the room. It was meant to be the truest version of you, and that is not a thing that can be ranked, because there is exactly one of it in all of existence, and nothing to measure it against. So when the glance comes, and the comparison rises, and your week of quiet progress threatens to dissolve under the weight of a surface that belongs to someone else, do this. Return your eyes to your own hands, sound your word, and remember that the only honest comparison available to you is between who you were before these hours and who you are becoming, and on that single comparison, the only one that has ever actually mattered, you are already, quietly, undeniably ahead. You may be wondering why so much weight is being placed on something as small as a single ordinary Sunday in a single ordinary life. The world has trained you to believe that the significant things are the loud things, the public things, the achievements that other people can see and name. So a quiet morning where you sat for 8 minutes and reconnected before you reached for the noise seems, by that measure, like nothing at all. But the measure is wrong, and it has always been wrong, and the dim world depends on you keeping it. Hear this instead. The most important things that have ever happened in your life happened in private, in moments no one applauded, in decisions no one witnessed. The direction of a whole life is never set in the dramatic public moment. It is set in the small private one that came long before, the one nobody saw, the one that did not feel like a turning point while it was turning. And heaven, if you will let me use that word, has never once measured significance the way the world does. Heaven leans in closest precisely at the moments the world considers too small to notice. A widow and 2 small coins, a boy and a few loaves, a single soul in a single quiet room on a single ordinary Sunday, choosing to come home before the world could pull it apart again. That is not a small thing. That is the kind of thing the whole story of light and darkness has always actually turned on. So do not let the quietness of what you are about to do fool you into thinking it does not matter. The quietness is the disguise that significance has always worn, so that the people who profit from your smallness will underestimate it. They are not afraid of your loud moments. They have learned to survive those. They are afraid of the quiet ones, the private faithful ones, the ones with no audience, because those are the only ones that have ever actually changed anything. You are about to do the most significant thing available to a human being. You are about to choose your direction in private, with no one watching, for no reward you can show anyone. Do it like it matters, because Nothing has ever mattered more. And let me make the reconnection itself simpler than you have been making it, because the dim mind will try to turn even this into one more performance. You are not good enough to do correctly. You hear 8 minutes, and you immediately imagine you must do it perfectly. Sit a certain way, empty the mind completely, achieve some state you have read about and failed at before. And the moment it becomes a technique to be mastered, it becomes one more arena for your sense of not being enough, and you quietly avoid it the way you avoid everything you are afraid to fail at. So let me strip it down to the thing underneath the thing. At its root, the reconnection is not a technique at all. It is a turning toward. It is the simple act of orienting your attention back toward the source you were severed from. And for those of you who carry the word God in your hearts, it can be as plain as this. You do not need elevated language. You do not need to perform reverence. You do not feel. You can simply speak, in the most ordinary words you own, the way you would speak to someone who has known you your whole life and cannot be impressed or disappointed by anything you say. You can sit in the first quiet of this Sunday and say, plainly, that you are tired, that you have been dim a long time, that you do not entirely know how to come home, but you are turning toward it anyway. That is a prayer. That is the whole of it. The reaching is the prayer. The turning toward is the reconnection. So if the 8 minutes intimidate you, do not do 8 minutes of a technique. Do 1 minute of honesty. Turn toward the one who made you and say the truest thing in you, even if the truest thing is that you are not sure any of this is real. Especially if that is the truest thing. The connection was never restored by your eloquence, or your discipline, or your achieving the right inner state. It is restored by the turning, however clumsy, however brief, however full of doubt. The source you were cut off from is not standing at a distance waiting for you to perform your way back into favor. It is already leaning toward you, already closer than your breath, waiting only for you to stop performing and simply turn your face back in its direction. Turn. That is the entire instruction. Everything else is detail. There is something you need to be warned about before you go, because it will happen, and if you are not ready for it, it will undo everything quietly, and you will never even know it happened. Here it is. Within hours of these words ending, the dim mind is going to try to delete this, not violently, not all at once. It will simply begin, gently, to file these hours away as a nice feeling you had once, an emotional moment, the kind of thing that was lovely while it lasted and has no real bearing on the practical business of your actual life. It will take everything that was spoken over you and shrink it down into the category of things that were just a video. And the moment it succeeds in doing that, the door that opened in you closes again, and you do not even hear the latch. So you are going to give the deep self an anchor it cannot easily erase. Not a feeling, because feelings are exactly what the fog knows how to dissolve. A word. One word that, for you, from this point forward, means everything these hours have meant. For some of you, the word is home. For some of you, it is awake. For some of you, it is simply the word, it is sealed, the one we closed the prayer with. Choose yours now, and then tie it to the first thing your hands touch in the morning, or in the next hour if the morning is already here, the cup, the door, the light switch, the first ordinary object of the day. Let that object become the trigger, so that the first reach of your hand into this Sunday is also the first quiet sounding of your word, and the door that opened tonight does not get a chance to close before the day has even begun. This is how you outmaneuver the fog, not by being stronger than it, because in a straight fight the fog has years of practice and you have one night. You outmaneuver it by tying the new thing to something it cannot reach. It can dissolve a feeling. It cannot easily dissolve a habit attached to the cup you hold every single morning. Make the anchor small. Make it physical. Make it impossible to miss, and you will find that the version of you who wakes into this Sunday is not starting from zero, the way you usually do. They are starting from a word already in the mouth, already pointing home, placed there on purpose by the version of you who is listening right now and who loved them enough to leave it. And wherever these words are reaching you, let me speak to that exact place, because it matters less than you think and more than you know. If you are hearing this in the dark, if the night still holds you and this Sunday has not yet broken over the horizon, then you have been given something rare. You have been given the hours before. You get to walk into the test already knowing it is a test, already covered, already sealed, with the word placed in your mouth before the day has had its first chance at you. Most people meet the morning unarmed. You will not. Sleep, if you can, with the word resting on you, and let the first light find a soul that was prepared in the dark. And if the sun is already up, if this Sunday is already moving around you, and some of its hours are already behind you, hear this just as clearly. You are not late. There is no part of this that required you to begin at dawn to count. The door does not open only at sunrise and close by breakfast. It is open right now, in whatever hour you are standing in, and the next reconnection you make, even if it is the middle of the afternoon, even if the day has already been hard, is not a consolation prize for missing the morning. It is the real thing, fully, with nothing missing. The test was never about being early. It was about turning home at all, and you can turn home in any hour that still has breath in it. The hours you have left in this Sunday are enough. They were always going to be enough. Begin from where the day has you, and the day will still bend. There is a part of this homecoming that almost no one tells you about, because it does not sound spiritual enough, and the dim world is very happy to let you keep ignoring it. It is your body. You have been treating this whole struggle as if it lives only in the mind, a matter of belief and will and decision. And so you keep trying to win it with belief and will and decision alone, and you keep losing in the late hours when your reserves are gone. But the dimmed life is not only a dimmed mind. It is a body that has been running in a low, constant alarm for so long that the alarm became the baseline, and you forgot there was ever another way to feel. The tightness in the chest you stopped noticing. The shallow breath you have been taking for years. The jaw that is clenched right now as you hear this until I name it and it releases. That is not a character flaw. That is a nervous system that has been bracing so long it forgot how to stand down. And here is what that has to do with the two halves coming back together. The halves cannot reconnect while the body is in alarm, because alarm pulls all the resources to the surface, to the watching and the bracing and the surviving, and leaves nothing for the deep, quiet work that reconnection actually is. This is why the 8 minutes are not just a mental exercise. They are, first, a signal to the body that the emergency is over, that it is safe to come down, that it does not have to hold the whole weight of the world in its shoulders for one more morning. The slow breath is not a spiritual decoration on top of the real work. It is the doorway to the real work, because a body that believes it is under attack will never let a mind go quiet enough to come home. So as part of this Sunday, do not only watch your thoughts, tend your body like it is a frightened animal that has been on guard far too long, which is exactly what it is. When the heaviness comes, before you argue with it, breathe lower and slower than feels natural, and feel the alarm drop a single notch. When you sit for the reconnection, let the shoulders fall first, before the mind does anything at all. Let the body learn, one ordinary Sunday at a time, that the danger it has been bracing against is mostly an echo of an old theft and not a present threat. A calm body is not the reward at the end of the homecoming, It is the ground the homecoming has to be built on. Give your body permission to come down, and you will be astonished how much of what you called a spiritual struggle was a tired animal that simply needed to be told, at last, that it was safe to rest. I can feel the negotiation already starting in some of you, because it is the oldest negotiation there is, and the dim mind runs it every single time a soul gets close to changing direction. The negotiation sounds reasonable. It sounds almost wise. It says, yes, all of this is true, and I will absolutely do it, but not in the middle of this particular weekend when everything is already in motion. I will start clean. I will start Monday. I will start when the week settles, when the season changes, when the noise dies down, and I have the proper space to do it properly, and it feels like respect for the work. This delay. It feels like you are taking it seriously by waiting for the right conditions. It is the most spiritual-sounding form of surrender there is. But hear what is actually happening underneath the reasonable voice. Someday is the safest place the dim life has ever built, because nothing is ever required of you there and nothing ever changes there, and you never have to risk the small humiliation of trying and stumbling. Someday is where good intentions go to be stored forever, beautifully untouched. And the reason the test is this Sunday and not someday is that someday is the trap itself. The whole machinery of your dimness runs on the quiet certainty that the real beginning is always located in a cleaner future that never quite arrives. Break that, and you break the engine. So the urgency of this exact day is not pressure for the sake of pressure, it is rescue. It is the one force strong enough to pull you out of the someday that would otherwise hold you gently for the rest of your life. There will never be a settled week. There will never be a clean slate handed to you by circumstances. The conditions you are waiting for are a mirage. The fog paints on the horizon to keep you walking forever and arriving never. The only beginning that has ever existed is the messy one, in the middle of the noise, on the inconvenient day, with the wrong conditions and the unsettled week and the imperfect heart. This Sunday is the inconvenient day. That is exactly why it is the one that can save you. There is a door inside all of this that we have walked past several times without opening, and it has to be opened before you go, because behind it is the thing that keeps more souls dim than any current or any theft ever could. It is the resentment. Some of it is aimed outward, at whatever and whoever you hold responsible for the years that were taken, the people who dimmed you, the systems that profited, the hands that turned the light down when you were too young or too tired or too trusting to stop them. And some of it, the heavier portion, is aimed straight inward at yourself, for the years you believe you let slip, for the times you saw the dimness clearly and chose the numbing anyway, for every someday you promised and broke. That resentment feels like fuel. It feels like it is keeping a fire of motivation alive in you. It is not. It is a hand around the throat of the very light you are trying to bring back up. Here is why it has to go, and it is not the soft reason you have heard before. It is mechanical. A mind cannot reconnect its two halves while one half is occupied holding a grievance, because the grievance is a full-time job. It runs in the background of every quiet moment. It hijacks the exact stillness that reconnection requires. You cannot sit in the 8 minutes of coming home while a part of you is still prosecuting a case that has no end, against people who are not in the room, or against a younger self who cannot defend themselves because they no longer exist. The grievance does not punish the ones who dimmed you. They are not feeling it. It punishes only the one carrying it, which is you, today, in the present, with a present that the past keeps reaching into and spoiling. So this is the release that finishes the others. Not forgiveness as a moral performance, not pretending the theft did not happen or did not matter, because it happened and it mattered. Forgiveness as a setting down, as an unclenching of the hand that has been holding the case file shut so tightly that it could not hold anything else. Forgive the ones who dimmed you, not because they earned it, but because you cannot afford to keep employing the part of yourself that hates them. And forgive the younger version of you who could not see the trap they were walking into because they were doing the best a dimmed soul could do with a light that had been turned down on purpose. They did not fail you. They survived in the only way that was available to them, long enough to deliver you here, to these hours, to this door. Thank them and let them go. The hand that has been clenched around the grievance is the same hand you need open to receive what is coming. You cannot hold the old case and the new life at the same time. Choose the new life. Set the case down. Walk out of the courtroom you have been living in, and do not look back to see whether anyone followed you out. The freedom was never going to come from the verdict. It was only ever going to come from leaving. And there is one more place the brightness goes that you will not see coming, and it is the place that will matter most to you years from now when you look back. It goes into the people who share your rooms. Because a dimmed person does not only dim their own life, they are present in their home the way a passenger is present in a car, physically there and somewhere else entirely, answering at the right moments and absent in all the spaces between. The people closest to you have learned the shape of that absence so well that they have stopped reaching for the part of you that went away. They love you, and they have quietly adjusted to a dimmer version of you. And the saddest part is that everyone involved has agreed to call this normal. So watch what happens in the ordinary hours of this Sunday when even 1 degree of you comes back online. You will be in a conversation you would normally half hear, and you will actually hear it, and the person speaking will feel it before they understand it. A small startle, a sense that someone who had been far away just arrived in the room. You will look at a face you see every day and see it the way you have not let yourself see it in a long time. You will be present for a small, ordinary moment that you would normally have spent somewhere behind the glass. And that moment will not announce itself as important, but it will be the kind of thing the people who love you remember long after the dramatic moments have faded. This is the part of the homecoming that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with you. The light you turn back up does not stay inside your own skull. It reaches across the table. It changes the weather of a household. It gives the people who adjusted to your absence permission to stop adjusting, to reach again for the full version of you they had stopped expecting. You are not only coming home to yourself this Sunday, you are coming home to them. And some of the people in your rooms have been waiting for that homecoming far longer and far more quietly than they have ever let you see. One more thing about the people in your life, because there is a quiet danger in the days after a turning like this, and it has ended more homecomings than any direct attack ever has. You are going to want to tell someone. The thing that happened in you tonight will feel so large that the instinct will be to bring it to the people closest to you, to explain it, to have them see it and confirm it and celebrate it, jobate it. And some of them will not understand. They will hear you describe the most important night of your recent life, and they will respond with a flat politeness or a worried look, or worse, with a small dismissiveness that lands on the most fragile new thing in you, like a frost. And if you are not ready for that, it can talk you out of the entire thing in a single conversation. So be ready for it. The people who adjusted to your dimness are not villains, but many of them have an unconscious stake in you staying the same, because your change asks something of them, even if no one ever says so out loud. Your turning toward the light quietly raises a question over their own dimness, and not everyone is ready for that question, and so they will, without malice and often without awareness, gently pull you back toward the version of you they had made peace with. Do not hand them the power to confirm or deny what was sealed over you tonight. It was not sealed by their understanding. It does not require their belief to be real. So in the early days, protect the new thing the way you would protect a flame in wind. You do not have to announce it. You do not have to defend it. You do not have to win anyone over to it. Let it grow in private until it is strong enough that no single conversation can blow it out. And trust that the people in your life will not need to be told what happened, because in time they will simply see it, in the clarity of your eyes and the presence in your voice, and the way you have come back into the room. The proof was never going to be your explanation. The proof is the changed life, and the changed life argues for itself, quietly, to everyone, without you ever having to say a word. Now let me do one last thing with you before you go. And this is the most practical thing in the whole of these hours. So, do not let your attention drift just because we are near the end. I am going to walk you through this Sunday before you live it. Not in vague feeling, in real hours. Because a soul that has rehearsed the hard moments before they arrive does not get ambushed by them, and the dim life has always relied on ambush. Begin in the first waking, whether that is the slow grey of a morning still ahead of you, or the next time your eyes open after these words end. There is a window there, very short, that decides more about your day than any other moment in it. It is the gap between waking and reaching. In the old pattern, the reach came first. Before your feet were even on the floor, the hand went for the glow, for the feed, for the noise, and the day began with you already a passenger, already consuming before you had connected, already handing the wheel to a current that was waiting for exactly that. So see the new pattern instead. See yourself wake, and before the reach, take the breath. Sound the word, you anchored. Give the first minutes of the day to the connection before you give them to the world. It will feel almost too small to matter. It is the hinge the whole day swings on. Now move into the middle hours, because this is where the test sharpens, and it does not sharpen the way you expect. You brace for a dramatic temptation, a single big moment of failure, and that is not how it comes. It comes as 1,000 small invitations to drift, a dull stretch, and the hand reaches for the numbing scroll, without a decision being made at all. A difficult feeling, and the old anesthetic is applied before you have even named what you were feeling. This is the ambush, not a wall to climb, but a slow current under your feet that moves you without your noticing you have moved. So see yourself, catch it. See yourself, in the middle of an ordinary afternoon, suddenly aware that you have drifted, and instead of drowning in the verdict of having drifted, see yourself simply take the wheel back, quietly, without drama, as many times as it is taken. That is not failure interrupting your good day. That is the practice. Each retaking is a repetition that builds the very muscle you are here to build. Now come to the hardest hour, and every honest day has one. For most of you, it arrives in the evening, in the lateness, when the day is almost won, and the tiredness lowers your guard, and the old heaviness comes back with a particular kind of weight, the kind that whispers that nothing really changed, that the morning was just a feeling, that you are the same as you have always been, and tonight is the proof. This hour is not a sign that you failed the test. This hour is the test, in its purest form. The whole day was a setup for this single moment, when the door is hardest to keep open. So see yourself there. See yourself recognize the heaviness for what it is, not a verdict, but a residue. The old current making one last reach for your wrist, precisely because it can feel that it is losing. And see yourself refuse to convene the court. See yourself decline to judge the whole day from its tiredest hour. See yourself sound the word one final time, and let the day close not on a feeling but on a direction. You aimed it home. That is the win. That was always the only win there was. And then see the morning after this Sunday, because that is the part you most need to see, the part that decides whether this was a moment or a turning. See yourself wake into an ordinary Monday with no afterglow, no special feeling, the emotion of these hours entirely gone, and see yourself take the breath and sound the word anyway. That morning, the grey and ordinary one with nothing dramatic in it, is the most important morning of all, because it is the morning the new self proves. It does not run on the feeling that created it. Hold that image hardest of all. The unremarkable morning after, where you do the small, faithful thing with no reward and no witness and no rush of emotion to carry you. Survive that morning, and you have not had an experience. You have begun a life. So before you go, understand who is leaving. You are not the same person who pressed play on this. I want to say that slowly, because the fog will try to tell you it is just a phrase. It is not just a phrase. The person who came to these hours was carrying a coat they believed was their own skin, watching their life through glass, half convinced it was too late, braced for a Sunday they expected to lose. That person does not exist anymore in the way they did. Somewhere across these hours, quietly, without fireworks, a different person took their place. One who has set the coat down, one who has been seen and covered and sealed. One who knows the test now and knows it is winnable, and knows the door is open in whatever hour they are standing in. You will not feel like a completely new person, and I do not want you to expect to, because that expectation is a trap. The change is not in how you feel. The change is in what you now know, and what you now know cannot be unknown. You cannot go back to not understanding that the dim life was installed and not inevitable. You cannot go back to believing the someday lie, now that you have seen the trap inside it. You cannot fully return to the glass now that you have remembered there is a self on the other side of it. The door behind you has quietly closed. The only door left to you opens forward into the hours of this Sunday as the person these hours made. Walk through it as them, not as who you were when you arrived. And because you are that person now, there is a way to mark it that costs you almost nothing and changes more than you would think. You have already typed once tonight. You typed the words "I release," and you let something fall. Now there is one more word to type, and it is the strongest one, because it is no longer about what you are letting go of. It is about what you are stepping into. If everything across these hours has landed, if the coat is on the floor and the door is open in front of you and some deep part of you has quietly decided to walk through it, then put the words "I am ready" into the comments below. Do not type it lightly. Type it the way a person signs their name to something they intend to keep, because that is what it is. When you type "I am ready," you are not performing for anyone. You are doing what every soul does at the threshold of a real change. You are making the decision audible to yourself. You are taking the thing that has been a private stirring inside your chest and giving it a shape outside your body. And something in the deep self shifts the moment you do, because now there is evidence. Now there is a record. Now there is a line you have drawn that you will remember crossing. Type the words "I am ready," and as you type them, mean them, not as a promise to be perfect this Sunday, but as a declaration that you are no longer pretending you do not know the way home. And while your declaration is still warm, there is a quiet way to let it ripple past your own life. If these hours reached something real in you, let your like be your amen. Not for any reason having to do with numbers, and not to do anyone a favor. Press it gently, the way you would set a candle in a window, because the same words that found you tonight are trying to find someone else who is sitting in the dark right now, believing they are the only one. The simple act of your agreement is part of how the light travels from one dimmed soul to the next. Let your like be the silent amen of someone who was met tonight and wants the meeting to reach further than themselves. And if something in you wants to stay near this kind of word, near the company of people who are quietly choosing to come home instead of staying dim, then stay connected, not to follow anything. To remain within reach of the next word, being prepared for the season you are walking into, so that when it is ready, it can find you the way this one did. There are more of these coming for the road ahead of you, and the ones who stay near are simply the ones the next message does not have to search so hard to reach. Stay, if your spirit wants to stay. You will not have to look far for what is coming next. And for the ones in whom it has not stopped stirring, the practical thing I spoke of earlier, the work that came out of that city and that doctor, the simple way of bringing the two halves of a tired mind back into sync in about 8 minutes a day, the thing called the genius switch. It is waiting in the description below and in the pinned comment. I am not going to pull you toward it. Plus, the homecoming we walked through stands completely on its own, and you owe it nothing. But if your spirit kept returning to it while everything else was being spoken, that returning is worth honoring. Look only if you feel led. The door to it is there, quiet, for the ones it is quietly for. And now the last thing I will ask of you, and it is not for you at all. While you were listening, somewhere in these hours, a face came to mind. It may have come more than once. You did not go looking for it. It simply rose, the way a name rises when a thing is meant for it. I want you to trust that, because there is someone you know who needed to hear this, and the part of you that pictured them was not random. It was the oldest kind of knowing there is. Think of who it was. Someone who has gone unusually quiet lately, quieter than they used to be, in a way you noticed and did not quite know how to name. Someone who has been slowly pulling away from the people who love them, declining the invitations, going dim at the edges of your life. Someone who keeps saying they are fine in a voice that does not match the word. Someone who is carrying a weight they have not been able to explain to a single person, who has perhaps stopped trying to explain it at all. You know who they are. You have already pictured them. They are the reason the face came. Send this to them. Not with a speech, not with an explanation. Just send it. The way you would hand a candle to someone standing in a dark you remember standing in yourself. You do not have to know whether it will reach them. That part is not yours to carry. Your part is only the sending, because what you sat through tonight as a message may be, for them, the exact confirmation they have been silently asking for and had almost stopped expecting. Their isolation is not punishment. It is preparation, the same preparation yours turned out to be. But they cannot hear that from inside the silence they are in. They may only be able to hear it from you. Be the one who breaks the silence around them. Send it tonight, while the face is still clear, before the ordinary day talks you out of the most important thing you could do for another soul this whole Sunday. And now there is nothing left to ask of you, only something left to give. Let me send you out the way the ancient ones sent each other into uncertain days, with a blessing spoken over the road ahead, so that you do not walk into the hours of this Sunday unaccompanied. May the first waking of your day find you reaching for the connection before you reach for the noise, and may that one small motion set the angle of everything that follows. May the breath come slower than your fear wants it to. May the shoulders come down. May the body you have driven so hard in its alarm be given, at last, permission to rest. And may it believe you when you tell it that it is safe. May the middle hours, when the old current reaches for your wrist 100 quiet times, find you taking the wheel back without shame and without drama, as many times as it is taken. And may you remember that each retaking is not a failure interrupting your progress, but the very shape your progress takes. May you not be ambushed because you have rehearsed. May you not be deceived by the dullness, because you have been warned what the dullness is for. May the hardest hour, when it comes, and it will come, find you refusing to convene the court. May you decline to sentence a whole day from its tiredest moment. May the heaviness that arrives right when the day is nearly won be recognized for what it is, the residue of an old theft, making one last reach, and may you sound your word into it, and let the day close on its direction and not on its feeling. May the morning after, the grey and ordinary one with no afterglow and no emotion to carry you, find you doing the small, faithful thing anyway, and may that unremarkable morning be the one that quietly convinces the deep places in you that this was never a feeling. It was a turning. May the people who share your rooms feel you arrive in them again. May the ones who adjusted to your absence be given permission to stop adjusting. May the light you turn back up reach across your table and change the weather of your home in ways you will not fully see for years. And may you carry, through all of it, the unshakable knowledge of what was sealed over you in the quiet. That you are not the dim version they handed you. That you are not too late, and never were. That the door is open in whatever hour you are standing in. That you are awake and reconnecting and coming home. And that nothing in the hours of this Sunday has the authority to reverse a single word of it. So go now, not because the moment is over, but because the hours are waiting and they are yours to win. And as you go, understand the last thing, the thing that reframes everything you have done here tonight. You are not leaving a message. You think you are closing a video, stepping away from a voice, returning to your real life. But that is the old way of seeing, and it is wrong. You are not leaving a message. You are leaving a season. The dim season, the postponed season, the passenger season, the long grey stretch where you watched your life through glass and called it living. That season ends here, in this room, at this hour, not with a feeling, but with a turning. And you are walking out of it into a new one, the first hour of which is this Sunday, the first morning of which is the one in front of you. A season does not end with a slammed door. It ends quietly, the way winter ends, with one ordinary morning that is somehow a degree warmer than the one before, and then another, until one day you look up and realize the thing you thought would never lift has lifted, and you cannot point to the exact morning it happened because it happened in all of them, in the small, faithful, ordinary ones, the way the most important things always happen. That is the season you are walking into. Do not wait to feel it fully before you believe it has begun. It has begun. It began the moment you let the coat fall. Walk into the hours of this Sunday as the one who came home. Sound your word in the first waking. Take the wheel back as often as it is taken. Refuse the evening verdict. Tend the tired body. Forgive the ones who dimmed you and the younger self who could not see the trap, and set the case down for good. And when the day is done, however it went, judge it not by its feeling but by its direction, and if it was aimed home, then you passed. You passed the test. The door is open, and it is sealed. It is